Nothing like the first cup of dumpster juice in the morning.
Ai, nem pra jogar, velho. Que porra é essa? Ai, caralho, vai tomar no cu, porra. Que desgraça é essa? Que porra é essa também? Ai, passarinha. Ai, ai, ai. Que porra é essa, filha da puta? Caralho. Mano, João, essa porra é um mutante. Vai tomar no cu. Morre, desgraça. Ué, chinelo, vai tomando.
In the morning when I leave my den, I'm moisturized with the tears of men. Stir my tea with a crucifix, I'm an ugly nasty. Call me bitch. In the evening when I'm on the rag, I just rip up a couple of American flags. Take a nice hot bath in the blood of the rich, I'm an ugly nasty. Call me bitch. I try to think, but it hurts my brain, so I have an abortion or find champagne. I'm a Jezebel, I'm a wicked witch, I'm an ugly nasty. Call me bitch. Weekends when I want some fun, castrate a man, take away his gun, drive a classic car into a ditch. I'm an ugly nasty. Call me bitch. Well, I know I am, but what are you? Some fascist bootleg Nazi tool? A whiny boy with a tiny dick? Or a dumb fuck redneck backward hick? Did I get it right? Did I peg you yet? Maybe we don't know who we ain't met. Maybe nobody wins, but the already rich. If you're a dumb redneck and I'm a commie.
Scoot over a little bit. There we go. Good morning, my beauties and bees. It is I, your hostess, Miss Bumblebee. It is 8:37 a.m. on the 5th of July, and we are a little bit off with our camera. That's all right. There we go. All right. So I couldn't sit in front of my keyboard. Good morning. Couple of things I just want to touch on real quick. Yes, I have allergies right now. My face is dripping from all the holes, especially this eye right here. So my mascara will slowly turn into Alice Cooper makeup as the show goes on. I just want you all to just appreciate it, because I'm still going to do this show even though I have this nasty, drippy, presumably sinus issue going on. But that's my issues don't stop there. I've had hell of a time getting the Keurig to go. So it's still in there. I don't know if it's going or not, but I'll go back and then check on it in a minute, probably between this and CrypticCorner, because I've went in there and pushed the button a few times. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I'm always doing something wrong. Don't get me wrong. But I do want to, real quick, to go over here and look into the polls before we do kick it over into CrypticCorner, because polls are one of my favorite parts of the show. So let's have a look here. Okay, so I've did I did. Excuse me, I don't mean to cough in your ear. Yeah, the Alice Cooper makeup effect to be a feature, but not on me. I can see my eyeliner running now. It's kind of giving me like a smoky eye look right now, but it's my face just can't start. Like I went round and round about how I was going to do my makeup with my face dripping like this. So if any of you ladies have tips for the best way to do makeup when you've got a cold and your face is all drippy, let me know. All right, so let's look here. When it comes to, oh, not that one. Right here. When it comes to the polls, yeah, there we go. So this week on the polls, we had the Nandy Bear, an African cryptid. We had Loab, the AI cryptid. We had the Lyran, an alien cat-like race. And then we had Hell Hogs, which was the new kid on the poll and made it like for a long time the Lyran won the lead. But yeah, Hell Hog won. So we're doing Hell Hogs for Cryptic Corner. Now, when it comes to our weekend weird, Charming the Serpent's still on there, been on there for a while, right? Oh, can you see? You can't see. Hold on. Why is it not showing you guys? Give me a second. Do this one. Oh, it has to be on. Yeah. Okay. So this is how this spread out right here. This is the polls. I don't know. I think Bree's kind of like a bug. Yeah, I'm a bug, not a feature. But yeah, then we had we had Charming the Serpents. We have Cursed Treasures. Yeah. Good morning, my unfinished journey. Thank you so much for the super chat. Much love from the Hive. Much love. Appreciate you every day. And then we had Encapsulated Animals, which is like toads and stuff trapped inside rocks. And then last thing we had was God's Healing Springs, which we have two God's Healing Springs, one in Georgia and one in South Carolina that we're going to look at. So stick around for that part of the show. After that, though, after all that's said and done, we will be looking at the dangers of hyenas. Also ran this poll this week, which is I was thinking about rebranding the name. I don't know if I'm going to, though, because I really do like Hive Sci. It's very distinct, and it's me. It's like a handle, so it's not just rebranding the channel. It would be I am Hive Sci as much as the channel is Hive Sci. So gotta keep that in mind. But if I do, it's gonna be Breeze Hive. It's gonna be something along those lines with the word hive in it. I'm going to keep that word because that does it is marketable. So, but if I don't know if I'm going to change it at all now that I'm doing the Charlatans Web series, which if you haven't watched, go watch my Charlatans Web series, because the last night we did the Warrens, Ed and Lorraine Warren, and their claims about the South End werewolf or the real werewolf of London. So we cracked that nut open last night. It was a fun ride. We got to explore how these stories get embellished and get. If you think you know the story about Bill Ramsey, the werewolf of South End, go watch it because I think I shed some new light and break some new ground on it. So if you're into that. Yeah, honestly, I thought about changing the channel's name to that, Charlatans Web. But I don't always cover charlatans, so it's not really a good fit. But it's good fit for that series. Last week I did the Vampire of Highgate, where we talked about the dueling wizards, Manchester and Ferrant. And then Next week, next Friday for that show, I actually going to start having guests on now that I know kind of what I want to do with it. And I'm having Nancy from the Apostate Sisters on to talk about CE5 meditation. So that'll be fun. And then, I don't know if JD Vance is the wife ate a cat. That wouldn't surprise me. But, because those people are, you people. Anyhow, so that was our polls for this week. So we got Hell Hogs, we've got Healing Springs, both of which have a strong presence in Dixie. Why is Dixie full of monsters and magic? You let me know. Then after all that, we're gonna do we're start our Summer of the Man-Eaters, which I know I'm starting it late in July, but. It's going to be about man-eating hyenas and if they think we're delicious or not. So stick around for that. I am going to kick things over to Cryptic Corner. Just a heads up, I may be, after the intro runs, I may be a couple minutes or a minute or two late because I'm going to go out there and check and see if that made my coffee or not yet, because I need it. This face cold or head cold is melting my head. Need something hot in my sinuses. So I'm going to kick it over to Cryptic Corner. But it may take me a minute to get back after the song plays. I may just have the blank screen with the cryptid slide. So yeah, just hang back, get yourself a drink, go to the bathroom or whatever, and I will be back with you momentarily. Hello, my beauties and bees, and welcome to another installment of Cryptic Corner, where we explore the unexplained, the supernatural, the paranormal and hidden, the alien, the accursed, and the forbidden. I'm your host, Miss Bumblebee, and today we are going to, we're going to say hog wild. Yeah, we're going to get hog wild today, talking about Hogzilla and friends. I didn't want to start like right out of the gate with Hogzilla though, so I went ahead and started with the UK counterpart. All right, so we're gonna be looking at the Beast of Dean and Hogzilla, and just talking about this phenomena of giant monster hogs roaming the wilds and terrifying people. Now, let's see here. So, I don't like to fly solo, so I do have UMA teaching us about, and this is a small channel, like 59 subscribers, 13 videos. Haven't been out very long, 5 months, but they have a video about the Beast of Dean, and we're going to check that one out. And as far as my coffee, if anybody's worried about that, yeah, it wasn't brewed, but it is actually brewing now. It is actually brewing. It made a sound and started sucking water, so I'll be able to go back in there in just a minute and get some coffee. But I digress. Let's go ahead and crack this open, see what we're dealing with here. The Beast of Dean.
There are creatures in this world that only a few have seen yet. There are creatures in this world that only a few have seen yet. They have never been officially recognized. Welcome to UMA Channel, video series about unidentified mysterious animals. Today, we travel to the dark, misty depths of the Forest of Dean to uncover the legend of a monstrous entity known as the Dean Beast. Is the Dean Beast just folklore, or could something massive and undiscovered still be lurking in Britain's forests today? Get ready.
It is a pretty forest. The Forest of Dean is a gorgeous place. Let's see. Actually, let's see if we can get down in there real quick before we get too far into this. Forest of Dean. Okay, it's right here. It's kind of magical. It's close to the coast. It's by this big bight. And there's parking and forest park and things like that. But let's drop down in there and have a look. Pop right down in the middle of the forest. So it's a nice little woodland. It would be a lovely place if it weren't for the monster. That's your Forest of Dean.
Is about to get very real.
Let's get real.
What if I told you that deep within England's ancient forests lurks a creature so terrifying, so powerful, that it has haunted the region for over 2 centuries?
Oh,
a beast
no.
so massive, it
I
topples...
think that movie, this is actually scenes from like Hogzilla or maybe Razorback. Razorback was in the 80s though, so I think this graphics make me think it's the more recent one.
trees, smashes fences, and sends seasoned hunters fleeing in terror. The first recorded sightings of the Dean Beast date back to
It has no horns. Let's not give. I mean, the image shows it here with some horns, but it didn't really have horns. At least not in the myth.
1802, when panic spread through the villages surrounding the Forest of Dean. Something massive and unseen was terrorizing the area. Fences were
It's a pig!
destroyed, livestock vanished, and entire trees were found toppled as if some monstrous force had plowed through them in a fit of rage. Those who claimed to have seen the creature described a monstrous black figure.
You're probably not in your best interest to try to fight a razorback with a shovel, though. I mean, pigs have really strong, dense skulls. So this guy's probably not in the best place right now. If he could close that door, but I've seen little tiny, 80-pound hogs ram through a gate in a gated community. I wonder if I can find that video clip. Let me see. So even like a smaller... Here. I'm going to pull this over here. Even a small pig can do some hella damage. Let's see. Watch this. Wha-bam! That was crazy. I'll watch it again. Everything's pleasant. Guy goes by on a motorcycle. The big work truck goes by and BAM! BAM! You don't want to mess with these guys. That's what I'm saying. Not to be messed with.
larger than any known animal, with tusks so large they could impale a man in one charge. For 5 years, the devastation continued. No one knew where the beast came from, and no one could stop it. The forests were thick, the landscape unforgiving, and whatever this thing was, it knew how to stay hidden. It wasn't until 1807 that the local villagers, driven to desperation, assembled a hunting party.
Is that's the boar from, is that Greek mythology? The iron boar? The Erymanthian boar? Yeah?
To track and kill the creature. Some accounts claim the hunt was successful, that they slaughtered a giant, unidentifiable wild boar, something larger and fiercer than any recorded species. But other accounts tell a different story, that the hunters never found their target, that the attacks stopped for reasons unknown.
For something supernatural,
and yet the
no
terror
doubt.
was far from over. Deep in the forest, the echoes of its guttural growls persisted, as if warning those who dared to enter that the beast still reigned over its dark kingdom. Some hunters believed that what they killed in 1807 was only one of the creatures, and that a second, possibly even larger beast.
So there's a thing about hybrids that we're going to have to get into at some point here, but I'm going to go check on my coffee. I'll be right back. I'm going to put myself in transition for just a minute. All right, I'm back, and I do got my coffee now. So, I don't know if I was doing it wrong, which probably wouldn't surprise me. I do most things wrong, so that seems par for course. But I have my my coffee, and not my coffee cup, but someone's Choke the Haters coffee cup. I'm here for it. Oh, should I say good morning to everybody? Oh, I have coffee and I realize I'm awake and where I am. Halfway through Cryptic Corner, I realize where I am. Isn't that lovely? I'm just joking, I know. I appreciate everybody for coming in this morning. I wish I was in better presentable. Look, my eyes are just sore as hell. They dripped all night. My nose dripped. How do I like my coffee? 3 sugars and 1 cream. 3 sugars and 1 cream is how I roll.
Remained hidden. There were whispered rumors that
the
Dean Beast was not just a creature, but something far older, something that had always been there, lurking beneath the trees, waiting for the right moment to remind humanity of its presence.
The 1998 encounters with the Beast returns. So the first chapter of this story was about the 19th century attacks, which it was more aligned with a giant boar. Here's the thing about domestic animals and their genetics. They're wild, very plastic. The animals that we were able to domesticate have super plastic genes. This can't be exemplified any more expertly than with dogs, because you see everything from like a Chihuahua or a Pug all the way up to a Mastiff or a German Shepherd or a wolf, right? All of those are the same species, all the same genome. You could fertilize one egg with the other and create viable offspring that'll be able to reproduce offspring of their own. With some animals, especially when they're within the same genus but not within the same species, when they're more distantly related, when they've been separated for longer, for a couple million years, their genes, and this is the perfect example of this is with ligers, right? So when you mix a tiger and a lion gene, the growth inhibiting alleles are on the female in the tiger and the male in the lion, I think. So what basically happens is this animal doesn't have any of the growth inhibiting genes, and it just keeps growing, and then they have, their hearts eventually give out because they can't support their body anymore. They get a form of giantism, a form of hybrid giantism. To some extent, hybridization like that is good. It gives them something called hybrid vigor, which can make them larger, which we're just what we're talking about here. Make them stronger, make them more durable, and they can also suffer from genetic defects, though. So it's a tit for tat sort of thing. But hybrid vigor is real, and when you hybridize certain pig populations with certain wild boar populations, you do get some giantism, and we're going to explore that in depth.
For nearly 2 centuries, the Dean beast remained a legend, a story passed down through generations, something to frighten children and keep wanderers wary of the deep woods. But in 1998, the legend became reality once more. 2 locals, James Nash and Marshall Davis, were walking a familiar path between Parkend and Bream when the forest around them seemed to shift. The usual sounds
When you're walking between Parkend and Bream and you're carrying your rifles with you,
of the night fell into an unnatural silence. Then a deep, throaty growl rumbled through the air, coming from just beyond their sight line. The sound was impossibly low, more like the vibration of a drum than an animal call. Then came the movement. Heavy footfalls crunching through the underbrush. Branches
pigs make all kinds of wild sounds. All sorts of crazy sounds come out of them animals' mouths.
snapped like brittle bones. And then, emerging from the shadows, they saw it. A hulking, black-furred beast, far larger than any known wild animal.
I would say Aunt Jur, because the air conditioner's on. So if it's an inside cat, then summer is winter and winter is summer, right? And in the winter, the wind from the vents blows hot, and in the summer, the wind from the vents blows cold. So it is the right season for him to be using his heat pad, or him or her. Is your cat a boy or a girl? What's your kitty's name? Tell me more. I know all about Sumami's cats because I follow Sumami on YouTube. You can watch all the cat shenanigans and the birdie shenanigans.
In Britain, though the darkness obscured its form, they could make out its sheer mass, the curve of enormous tusks, the glint of something unnatural in its eyes. Panic took over. The men turned and ran for their lives, crashing through the trees, branches
Is there a
whipping
glint of something unnatural in my eyes?
against their faces. They didn't dare look back. Only when they reached the safety of the village road did they stop, and that's when they heard it. A blood-curdling roar ripped through the night, shaking the very air around them. And then nothing. The beast had let them go. But why?
Why?
Was it warning them, or simply letting them know that they had trespassed too close to something ancient and hidden?
So, ancient and hidden, there's like this occult undertone to this one. He doesn't have a name. He's not a commoner. Oh. That's interesting. So, they keep implying there's supernatural ties, but don't give any reason why. It's like, oh, because they said it had a glint of supernatural in its eyes. What? But the idea that a pig might do a bluff charge, or that a hog might scream at you and stomp its feet, but not actually attack you, is kind of checks out. That goes with a lot of large animals. Bears will do that. Gorillas will do that. It's called a bluff charge. They're just trying to tell you, this is my area, and you're making me mad. You're not worth my energy to come pummel, but if I did want to come pummel you, I could. That's the message that a charging, bluff charging animal is going to be sending to you. 2 shots of espresso and a scoop of vanilla ice cream. Woo! Affogato. I do like, I used to get moo lattes and stuff like that at Dairy Queen. I do like a nice iced coffee. I like a hot coffee too, depending on the weather. Supernatural, it glows, doesn't it? It has to be glowy. Well, unless it's not glowy. I don't know.
What if the Dean Beast isn't just a story? Could something this huge, this powerful, this unknown have truly survived in Britain's forests for
Yes.
centuries?
Big wild pigs can survive in the forest. Next question.
Several theories have been proposed, but none provide a definitive answer. Some experts argue that the Dean Beast could be an undiscovered species, a mutation, or an ancient relic from a time long past. The Forest of Dean is vast and largely untouched, its dense terrain making it easy for creatures to remain hidden for generations. Could this beast be a predecessor?
That's a warthog. That's like Pumbaa. That's not a boar. It's in the pig family. It's a suidae. But yeah, these guys don't get nearly that big. Boars and domestic pigs get way bigger than warthogs. Warthogs, and they're not tiny by any means. They're the size of like a large breed of dog, with freaking 2 to 4 giant knives sticking out of their face. But they're not huge like the European boars and the domestic pigs that we domesticated from the European boars are.
To modern wild boars, an ancient predator that has managed to evade human detection.
I like how
Others
they can take a picture just like a pig in the woods and make it look ominous.
believe it's a case of exaggeration and fear, that what people saw was just a wild boar.
I like your sideburns, bro. What happened to your ear? Aw, what happened to your ear? Your sideburns are lit, though. Don't let everybody tell you that your Martin Van Buren look is outdated, because it's freaking lit.
Its size exaggerated by darkness and adrenaline. But there's a problem with that theory. Wild boars were
Oh,
officially...
don't worry about it, Rainbow Ash. A lot of people are missing the stream today because ARC protest stuff's going on, and people are traveling, people are arriving, people are on the road, so I don't blame anybody for not being able to make it today. Plus, it's the day after the 4th of July. Oh, I know people have hangovers and stuff too, so no big deal.
extinct in Britain by the 13th century. If the Dean beast was just a regular animal, then what exactly were people seeing for hundreds of years?
It's the Beast de Gévaudan. When the French found out that it was that it could cause such havoc, they captured it and released it onto their enemies across the English Channel. Does that make sense? Makes as much sense as it being magic, I guess.
If you think an enormous wild boar sounds impossible, think again. Some of the largest boars in history have been recorded in modern times. 2004, Georgia, USA.
Yes,
A hunter
get more into
shot an
this.
8-foot-long, 2.4 meters, 800-pound,
Hogzilla.
362 kilograms boar, later dubbed Hogzilla. 2007, Alabama, USA.
And
An
Monster Pig.
7-year-old boy killed a 1,051-pound wild boar, measuring 9.4 feet, 2.8 meters long. 2019, China. Farmers reported sightings of wild boars weighing over
I actually like this art piece a lot. The way the eyes pop, I don't know, something about it.
1,000 pounds, 450 kilograms, destroying crops, sparking fears of a new invasive species. 2021, Russia.
Now you gotta keep in mind when you look at all these hunter pictures that there's always going to be forced perspective. You're never going to see the hunter sitting in front beside the animal. They're trying to present how big it is. They want to be behind it, making it look that much bigger.
Remote hunting expedition captured footage of an unusually large black-furred boar estimated to be over 900 pounds, 408 kilograms.
Let me catch up on the chat here. I have used warthog tusk for jewelry. Very tough and beautiful material. Yeah. I have a hangover, but I'm here. Well, I'm glad you made it in, Way to Human. The Bean of Beast is what I'm going to start calling Butters. The Beast of Bean. Do the Bean of Beast or the Beast of Bean? Good morning, Patty. Some people were kept up all night because their neighbors were setting off fireworks until 2 a.m. Yeah, that was here too.
Eerily similar to descriptions of the Dean Beast. These were real flesh and blood creatures.
Yeah, I don't have any doubt that the Beast of Dean from the 19th century was some sort of giant hog or giant feral hog of some kind, or an imported boar, something along those lines. I'm perfectly happy to accept that. I'm even happy to blame it on the French, that the French put it there. Let's blame the French.
Once thought to be the stuff of myths. If such monsters still exist today, is it so impossible that the Dean Beast might be real? Perhaps hidden deep in the forest, something similar lurks, something larger, older, and far more dangerous than we ever imagined. Could it be that Britain's wilderness holds secrets that science has yet to uncover?
I don't think so. I think it was probably the hybrid situation where them genes made it get super big. Because when we get into the Hogzilla, we'll explain that more. The beast that still roams.
So, is the Dean Beast just an old legend? A tale woven from fear and misidentification? Or could something massive and undiscovered still be lurking in the depths of the Forest of Dean? Maybe the answer lies in the darkness of the woods, waiting for the next unfortunate soul who wanders too deep. Would you dare enter its domain?
So before we move on to the next, to Hogzilla, I do want to talk about the Forest of Dean for a second, because lo and behold, the Forest of Dean actually does have a hog population. Wild boar population, actually. Wild boars in the Forest of Dean. And this is from February 2024. So this is even up to now. Just like a year ago. Wild boars are stocky, powerful animals covered with bristly hair that can vary from dark brown to almost black to the color of gingery brown. Mature males have tusks that protrude from their mouths. Females also have tusks, but these do not protrude. Piglets are lighter ginger brown with stripes. So, I mean, normal weight is between 60 and 100 kilograms. Tells you about, what, how to spot them, the behavior. This is in the Forest of Dean where they're seeing these hogs. Are boars and hogs different? No. Well, hogs have domestic genes. To be a hog, it has to have domestic genes, I think. A boar is a male and a female is a sow. That's like buck and doe, boar and sow, right? A hog, I believe, is like cow. It means it's like a hog is to a wild boar like a cow is to an auroch, or a dog is to a wolf. But so let's talk about the domestication of pigs for a second, because I think that's going to be important. Okay, so the species that we call wild boars, they live in historic times. They've lived from, Portugal to Japan, across the whole expanse of Eurasia, right? Like all the domestic animals that you think of when you think of domestic animals: horses, cows, dogs, all from the same goats, all from that same areas of domestication and the advent of agriculture, right? So the pigs that were domesticated were from regions in the Middle East, right? And we spent thousands of years crossbreeding them to get them to be as big and hulking as possible to get more meat out of them. Okay, and then the same species but different subpopulations or subspecies or haplogroups, if you will, existed in Europe, in Northern Europe, and Russia especially. They got huge. They were already big, robust animals to survive the winter and to compete with bears and tigers and shit. So they had already nature had already sculpted this hulking version of what down in southern parts of their range had been domesticated into our domestic breeds of pig. But keep in mind there are dozens of breeds of pigs too. So this doesn't apply to all of them, and there's different subpopulations that were domesticated. China domesticated their own pigs. Hell, in Mesoamerica, they were already starting to domesticate peccaries when the Europeans arrived, and they abandoned the domestication process in favor of the domesticated animals brought over from the Europeans at that time. They demanded their guinea pig farms and stuff too, but I digress. So when you have two groups that have been separated like that, it's like the growth gene that I was talking about before, make them get really big. So you get this hybrid of a wild boar and a domestic pig, and the wild boar already has these northern European boar already has these genes that makes it want to, get as big and robust as possible to survive these harsh winters. And then you also have this artificial selection process going into the genome where humans have selected for them to be as big and maintain as much weight as possible. So now you have this frame that's 2.5 times bigger than what this domestication process was applied to, but you're applying the same process to it, and you get these monster hogs. But I will actually move on from the UMA coverage with the Beast of Dean. And the main thing I wanted to focus on here is that, yes, the Forest of Dean already has a wild boar population. This isn't like a new thing. But we're going to go to a channel called Crash Course Cryptozoology. I haven't put anything out for about a year, but I used to follow this channel a lot. Good stuff. He's a more skeptical approach than what I usually touch on, but he does a great video here on Hogzilla that we're going to watch. So, but not past the warning here. All right. And I like his simple logo too. Gorgeous.
Hi, and welcome to Crash Course Cryptozoology. For those of you who might be considered fans of cryptozoology in the sense that you have prolonged exposure to the media that surrounds cryptozoology, perhaps for extended periods of time, you are likely familiar with the hit documentary series Monster Quest. And if any of you are fans of Monster Quest...
Okay, Monster Quest was mother's milk to me. I grew up on that. No, I should say grew up on it because it didn't start. I was an adult when it started, but I was hooked on Monster Quest. I wanted to do Monster Quest. This show that I'm doing right now is my version of Monster Quest. I'm a lot more skeptical now. Yeah, don't talk to hogs. Always remember STFU. Shut the fuck up, Friday. Yeah. Boars actually usually have tusk, but same family. I mean, we want to talk phylogeny. We can do that. But yeah, boars are like, so that's the thing too. It's like with pigs, the male is called a boar and the female is called a sow. But the wild species is also called a boar. It's kind of annoying that way. Cows are another one that's like that, because the species is also called cow, but the females are called the cows and the males are called the bulls. The males have lots of names though, because a male can be a bull, it can be a ox, and it can be a steer, depending on its duties and whether it's been castrated. Right? It's like a steer is a bull that's been castrated, and an ox is a steer that does labor, that's used for labor. So, a boar is a male member of the suid family, but it is also the species of suids that lives in northern Europe that we call the wild boar. So, deal with it what you will. Oh, wrong screen.
Quest particularly, you are likely to have heard at least once the term Hogzilla. In fact, it is even likely that more of you who did not watch Monster Quest when you were younger or at any point in your life have been exposed to this term recently due to its use in a new article stemming from a sighting in China.
Look at that guy. Look at that absolute unit. That's a 600-pound hog, easy. Look at him. These are like the hog we saw crash the gate. It's these size, right? The smaller ones down here. So imagine this guy hitting your. It could go through your wall like fucking Kool-Aid Man if it wanted to. That's a. I don't know if that's a full size dumpster though. It looks more like a grease bin sized. I don't know though, because it is a dumpster. They're using it as a dumpster, not a grease bin, as far as I can tell.
For those who have never heard the term, Hogzilla is something of an umbrella term. Generally speaking, it is used to refer to any sightings, descriptions, findings of, to put it simply, oversized wild hogs. However, the understanding of Hogzilla as this umbrella term makes it difficult to discern what exactly Hogzilla is supposed to be. Why is it included in cryptozoology so often? Is Hogzilla supposed to be a new species? If not...
Hogzilla, I put it on the same par as like a growler bear, right? Which we talked about in our giant bear episode. So yeah, it's relevant to cryptozoology.
What exactly is it? This will be the discussion point of this video because I think it's important to understand not only the term thoroughly, but because you may have a better understanding of it, it's quite possible you'll be able to appreciate the research that went into figuring out what Hogzilla was.
I already spoiled that, but...
As far back as can be traced, the term Hogzilla is first used around March 19th, 2005. The term was...
In 2005, I was 22 years old. I was a young lady. Still pretended to be a boy. What a waste. I would have been super freaking hot back then. I was like skinny.
Used to refer to a large, allegedly wild hog shot in the state of Georgia in the United States in June of 2004 by a hunter named Chris Griffin. Chris Griffin claimed...
Chris Griffin. We all know Chris Griffin. You may know his other family members a little better. Peter Griffin and maybe Stewie Griffin. Those two get a little more press than Chris. But Chris is a bit of a hog himself. Voiced by Seth Green, yeah.
He had shot the hog in the wild, that it was 12 feet long, and weighed likely over 1,000 pounds. If anything was to be called a monster due to its size, it was certainly this first Hogzilla. But this first Hogzilla also wasn't the last one. Two other prime examples of Hogzilla include a large hog shot in the Lost Creek Plantation.
And this one's more often called Monster Pig. When it's not just called Hogzilla, because sometimes I just lump them all together under Hogzilla, but each of them have their own unique name too. Like this one's called Monster Pig.
which is a commercial hunting preserve outside of Anniston, Alabama.
And whether or not this was a wild animal or a farm-raised animal is up for dispute. The coat really makes me feel like he's wild, but even if you let him run in the wild, if you're providing him nourishment, you know.
Shot particularly by, at the time, 11-year-old Jameson Stone. Hogzilla shot by Orrin Don Malloy in Plaska, Texas in 2002. It's important to note that while this was one of the first examples of giant hogs being shot, it was not the first one to be called Hogzilla. In fact, it did not start being called Hogzilla until after the 2005 shooting.
That one looks pretty wicked, though. I like the way he's extra furry. He looks like he does look like a cryptid. He looks like a warg or something from a fantasy novel. Reminds me of the beast on the beginning of Willow that that are chasing down the baby.
It is one of the only examples of a Hogzilla that actually predates the use of the word Hogzilla. Of course, studying these cases can't be so ground level. To understand what Hogzillas are, one has to go deeper. It's important to note that Chris Griffin really stuck to his guns on his story as an eyewitness and as an alleged shooter of what he believed to be either a new variant of an already existing species or a new species. In fact,
or a hybrid. But even looking at this hog right here, we do have a little bit of forced perspective. I think this one's a little more honest. This is after they dug him up too, so he'd been buried for a couple weeks at this point. Keep the scavengers from carrying him off, but they went and dug him up and weighed him, measured him. Wasn't 12 feet long and 1,000 pounds like they said, but
he lost his job over the publicity around Hogzilla. It would be many years before the Griffin Hogzilla would be examined. The body at that point had actually been buried, and in many ways, along with the body, the story had been buried. When more Hogzilla bodies, like the Malloy Hogzilla and the Stone Hogzilla, started popping up, Griffin wanted this carcass examined professionally. It was dug back up and scheduled to be examined, even though Griffin's reasoning was mainly to get fame and headlines from this animal.
I don't blame him. If I had set some kind of record, some kind of world record, or discovered some new species or something, I'd want to get recognition for it too.
This would be the beginning of a very important scientific study. Subsequent studies were also carried out on the Stone Hogzilla and the Malloy Hogzilla. The Stone Hogzilla was, unfortunately, deemed too controversial. There were inconsistencies in the Stone's eyewitness stories, and once publications decided to stop publishing such controversy, it was decided that results wouldn't really be getting much traction.
See, this gives you a good idea why you don't mess with a hog. See these two teeth right here? These are the tusk, the top tusk and bottom tusk, and they rub together to keep this edge right here super freaking sharp, like slice through bone sharp. You could lose a finger on one getting you caught in here. You do not want to be tusked by one of these creatures.
The Malloy Hogzilla, however, would prove to be the most interesting. Of course, going into the examinations of the Griffin and Malloy Hogzillas, there are many questions. The main ones, of course, pertaining to, well, what kind of animal might we be looking at? There are several theories that attempt to encompass the theory base for the identity of a Hogzilla. Are they prehistoric survivors? Are they a new species? And if they're not either, is it some kind of natural overgrowth that we just don't know about? Is the opposite of island dwarfism taking place here?
All right, so the prehistoric survivor thing, they're going to start talking about entelodonts, Andrewsarchus, and things like that.
Even without examinations, there are certain ways that we can gauge which one of these theories is the most likely. Theories about prehistoric pig ancestors are, unfortunately for many fans.
Okay, this says in the entelodon, a type of prehistoric ancestor to modern hogs. No. Okay, entelodonts were not any closer related to suids than they are to bovids or any other entelodonts. The closest relatives and what you can think of entelodonts as which will give you a better idea of what to expect from them, is they were terrestrial hippos, like long-legged terrestrial hippos, like both the Perseidactyls and the Artiodactyls had this animal, right? And in the Perseidactyl family, which is the horses and tapirs, the rhino fills this niche, right? So this long-legged land animal, but hippos used to also fill this niche, and rhinos used to also fill a semi-aquatic niche. There was semi-aquatic hornless rhinos, that lived like hippos, but the difference between hippos and between this clade specifically, the whipalphomorphs and the Perseidactyls in general, is that the whipalphomorphs, which includes hippos, whales, and entelodonts, and things like Andrewsarchus, is that they had omnivorous diet. So it was a giant, long-legged hippo that sometimes hunted and ate meat. That's the best way to think of an entelodont. Not, even though they call them hell pigs or terror pigs or whatever, they're really not pigs, and they're not ancestors of modern pigs, like this is implying here. They're just not. They're closer related to whales than pigs, and whales also moved to a carnivorous diet. So, who would have thought, right? There's no vegetarian whales, and hippos are probably the most vegetarian members of this group, and they'll snack on meat when they get an opportunity. So yeah, just wanted to throw that out there.
The most unlikely. This would rely on species that we essentially know to be extinct, and it would also rely on essentially incorrect anatomy. The Malloy, Griffin, and even stone bodies are not prehistoric-looking feral hogs. They are, in fact, modern-looking. The only strange thing about them is their size. Nothing else. They do not resemble their prehistoric ancestors.
Well, there's archaic features to the extent that they have features that would be associated with the wild stock, right? Which is something that pigs do. It's epigenetic response. When you let a pig live in the wild, it gets furry and muscly, and its tusks are bigger. When you keep it on a farm, it gets fatter and has less hair, and yeah, it's an epigenetic response to their environment.
Crossing that off of the list, we are forced to ask, is it a new species? This is also unlikely, but it isn't impossible. The mainland United States is often regarded as very explored, and of course, on a grand scale, it is. But it's
Dixie's pretty well explored too.
Also still vastly untamed. Even the areas that are cataloged aren't inhabited. These uninhabited areas can hide things as large as bears that people might never see in their lives. Even with an invasive species like wild hogs, there are plenty of areas to hide, even if you're a species that is rather large. If you're small in numbers as well, that would really only aid such a species in their hiding. Of course, the fact that they are these overgrown and otherwise anatomically identical hogs might suggest that they are a new species very similar to the hogs that we know of. However, size does not exceed the possibility of overgrowth. Natural overgrowth is our most likely option, looking
Natural overgrowth. This is what I've been talking about with the hybridization and stuff.
at the theories at a face value level. Although it is also unlikely because we would think to see it more often, it certainly isn't impossible that certain genetic mutations are being carried down in species that are not minute enough to constitute a new species, but are enough to create an unusual population within that already existing species. Speculation aside, of course,
Ouch!
these examinations...
Did you see that? Freaking, I give Bugbot instructions and he stung me. We're going to do a poll real quick here. I'm going to see what you guys think. There we go. You all tell me what you think Hogzilla was.
were carried out. and they
Close to
yielded
the
exceedingly
tails.
interesting results. The Griffin Hogzilla turned out to be a hybrid of wild hog and the domestic pig, often called a razorback. Widely unpublicized results of the Stone Hogzilla also show it
That's
is
not necessarily true about what a razorback is either. A razorback just means that it's a razorback can be a domestic pig that's gone feral. That basically that experience that growth of wild fur that I was talking about of this. Well, what you see in these two individuals right here. I guess I got myself in the way. Hold on. Let me adjust the size on this. Here we go. Yeah, so this one right here.
a razorback.
But the razorback is a reference to that bristly hair running down the back of their spine. That, you know.
These are essentially domestic pigs. They have simply inherited genes from one side of the family. Razorbacks, although technically a different subspecies, are not their own species, nor are they a new one we did not know about.
Razorbacks are not a subspecies, and being a hybrid does not make something a subspecies. Hybridization does not necessarily lead to a subspecies. Matter of fact, some hybridizations can be created, but they're not viable at producing offspring themselves.
They are simply the result of certain genetic matchings with the sex of the parents of the individual. This can be seen in animals called ligers, for instance. Ligers are hybrid offspring of male lions and female tigers.
Ligers are absolute units. Look at that. Wham! You don't want to run into that in the wild. But the thing about ligers is that they live like basically like a big neutered house cat. They're not real wildcat-like in their behavior. At least I've never seen one behave like anything other than a big lazy house cat, because they just keep growing and growing until their heart gives out. Or they tend to have other health problems too. But yeah, they get absolutely huge.
Sex combination of the parentage actually transfers, or rather fails to transfer, certain genetic code to this offspring. One of them being the line of code that tells growth hormones when to stop. Ligers keep growing, and as you can see by this image, they get pretty big. The same thing happens in razorbacks. The Stone Hogzilla and the Griffin Hogzilla are nothing new. The Malloy Hogzilla may be. Examination on the Malloy Hogzilla was carried out.
Native Atheist, you're the one who requested this, and you're just now getting here? Sir, thank you for all your support. Seriously, appreciate you.
By zoologist and biologist Jack Mayer of the Savannah River National Laboratory in Aiken, South Carolina.
This expert can determine if the hog in the picture was pen-raised or a true
This is from Monster Quest, so I'm going to stop it quite a bit. And the African giant forest hog, but it's still dwarfed by wild boars. It's just big compared to other African hogs, which are generally smaller, but more. Yeah, so they get that. And you see that in other domesticated animals too, like I mentioned, pugs or bulldogs, tigers and lions. That can happen too as well after generations in captivity, and a lot of inbreeding. They get that sunken in face. Yeah, this one bottomed out at 3. I would say maybe a 500-pound hog. What do you guys think for the Malloy, a Malloy Hogzilla? Looks about 500, 600 pounds to me. Let's see what they say. How big do you think it was?
Mayer remarked that it seemed to him to indeed be a genuinely wild, overgrown hog. This was not a domestic individual, and yet it was absolutely enormous.
When you say it was not a domestic individual, you mean it wasn't raised in a domestic setting. It is still a domestic pig, though. It's still genetically a domestic pig from domestic pig stock. It just doesn't have it has the epigenetic traits to show you that it was not farm raised, that it did grow up in the wild.
What this means, we're not entirely sure yet. Most Hogzillas have turned out to be razorback hybrids. and some are even overgrown domestic pigs. There is a small amount of hogzillas, like the Malloy hogzilla, however, that appear to push our understanding of how large certain species can get under the conditions they live in.
Smallest one out of those? Why would you pick the smallest one out of those three to say this one specifically makes us wonder how big these animals can actually get? This is the smallest one. This is the one that, was like 500 some pounds or so. The other two, one was 800 pounds, and then the one that whether or not it's farm raised, the one's the kid shot in Georgia. Right? Yeah. Anyway, the one the kid shot in Georgia is allegedly, it might be farm raised.
Malloy hogzilla a new species? Probably not. Is it a prehistoric leftover? No. Is it still an anomaly?
We're all prehistoric leftovers if you think about it. You are the descendant of a survivor of like 6 massive extinction events that wiped out most life on Earth. You, dear audience, are a descendant from those survivors, right? You come from a long line of survivors who survived great and small extinction events and went on to pass on their genes to a next generation before they perished themselves. So you are a survivor.
Absolutely.
So is a tick, though, so do with that what you will.
And with the more recent reports of wild hogs being deemed hogzillas that we see in not just North America but also in Asia, we're forced to wonder what the conditions are that are creating this zoological phenomenon, how better we can understand it, and, although it doesn't currently mean it, what it might mean in terms of potentially new species. Hogzilla's a very important case because it really outlines how an examination of a potentially new species should be carried out. It needs to be solid, consistent with its self-evidence, solid, consistent, and accurate examinations done by people who know what they're talking about, who know what they're doing, and acceptance of those results if necessary. I'd like to know what you all think of this potentially shining example of scientific practice within the field of cryptozoology. And
I like that. I like to see science being used in cryptozoology.
About how science works in cryptozoology in the first place, or perhaps in tangent with it.
Cryptozoology can be a science, for sure. I approach it as a scientist. I consider myself a cryptozoologist. As a matter of fact, I claim that I'm the world's leading cryptozoologist because there's nobody who can really challenge that concept. So, suck it up. That's my title now. I'm the world's leading cryptozoologist. I don't have to explain what leading means at all, but it's what I do. So that was Crash Course in Cryptozoology, talking to us about Hogzilla. And let's see. Yeah, the mystery of Hogzilla solved. The mystery of the beast known as Hogzilla was born in the swamps and woods of Georgia last summer. This is an article from 2005, March of 2005. Oh, it says so right there, too. Derp. Chris Griffin, a hunting guide, was out in the woods one day when he says he couldn't believe his eyes. An animal resembling a hog that was 12 feet long and weighed over 1,000 pounds. All sorts of thoughts were running through my head, and I was thinking, I'm going to take a shot at this animal, Griffin said. With the help of a backhoe, he hoisted the enormous beast up for the perfect trophy shot of the animal, soon dubbed Hogzilla. Griffin buried the beast shortly after the photo was taken, but when the picture hit the internet, a legend was born. People around the world questioned whether Hogzilla was real or a trick of computer photography. This debate whether Hogzilla was an enormous wild boar or farm-raised hoax. That's when National Geographic stepped in. We decided to do a real CSI-style investigation for Explorer, said Nancy Donnelly, a National Geographic producer. We brought in a pig geneticist, a wildlife ecologist, and a pig behavior specialist. Now, after extensive research, there is a verdict. National Geographic says Hogzilla is very real, though not as big as they thought, but the 800-pound male had some strange DNA. One of the most amazing things that we found out about Hogzilla was that he was a wild boar that he had wild boar in his ancestry, and we were only able to figure this out through our DNA testing, said Donnelly. But more questions remain. Where did this giant hybrid come from? And to the residents of Alapaha, Georgia, there is one thing perhaps more important. Could the son or daughter of Hogzilla still be out there? So, yeah, when it comes to what Hogzilla was, I mean, it's pretty definitive that it was a hybrid at this point. I mean, we have actual genetic testing, right?
Hey everybody, it's Robert coming to you with.
Oh, and we have experts that were actually able to examine this animal and put it under a microscope and say this is what it is. Now, why does it have wild boar when wild boars are native to Europe and Asia? Because hunters bring them over here. They bring them to the North America and release them into reserves that they can easily escape from because they're freaking monster boars who can smash through that steel gate like what we watched a few minutes ago. All right. But I did run this poll, so let's see how things turned out. Okay. What was Hogzilla? 25% says feral pig. 17% says wild boar. 50% says hybrid. And 8% says new species. Yeah, so that's how we came out on the audience polling. So I hope everybody enjoyed this little adventure into the world of giant swine. I'm going to put this on my giant animal list. We've done giant rats and giant spiders. So now we have giant pigs, too. I think we do giant bears. We did giant bears. We haven't done giant wolves. We have done a lot of giant cats, though. But I digress. I want to know what you guys think about this animal, about the sightings. What does it mean to you? Did you learn something new about animal genetics today when we talked about the hybridization causing immense growth? Yeah, just put something in the comments down below. Just something, anything to give me some engagement, please. Really appreciate each and every one of you, though, so keep that in mind as well. Yeah, please remember to be kind. Take care, and we will see you next time. All right. Thank you for sticking around through that live from the Hive audience. Got more show to come. Don't worry, we're going to get Healing Springs up next, and then after that, we're going to talk about man-eating hyenas. So don't go anywhere. My eyes are actually starting to feel a little better now. My makeup's all a mess, but my eyes are starting to feel better. I'm not so drippy. My nose is still a little drippy, but I'm surviving. Whew. Anyway, I'm going to kick it into intermission. I'm going to go blow my nose and stuff. And then I will be, drive safe, everybody. And I will be back with you with our Healing Springs. So stick around.
Koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain, no fucks given. Koala, koala, koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain, no fucks given. Koala, koala, koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain, no fucks given. Koala, koala.
kicked out of the tree. You can come to our tree. Yeah, come to our tree. Poor little thing. There's plenty of trees. Come on. You're a meanie. All right, my beauties and bees, welcome to another installment of our Week in Weird. And this week we've chose, the Hive has chosen, the Hive has spoken, and they want to see God's healing springs. They want to see the healing waters of the Appalachian chain. And there are a few places. We're going to focus just on two of them today, though. And our first one is going to be brought to us by a channel called Sidestep Adventure. I don't know much about them. Where did my... There we go. Yeah, so this channel, Sidestep Adventure into History. They do like travel around the country and look at like old landmarks and stuff, and looks like cemeteries and stonework and things like that. But today they went to, or like I shouldn't say today, this was a year ago that this video came out, but they went to this magical healing spring.
Hey everybody, it's Robert coming to you with another adventure into history. I'm out here with Dan, and we are on a bit of a scouting mission for a future video. But today we're going to be taking a look at what is left of an old spring resort that began over 180 years ago, and the resort kind of faded away by about the 1930s, you said?
I think so, in the Depression.
And this is pretty much all that's left of it right here, this old spring house. So we're going to take a look at that and tell you a little bit about it.
Well, we're at Oak Mountain again. But this time we're not in the mud, we're in the sludge. No, this is
that's mud all down in there.
All that's left of what used to be called Oak Mountain Springs. This was an old resort long ago, And this old spring, it started, this resort started sometime around 1839, 1840, and it's well documented. And I hope to gather some information on it for our next video that we do to feature this in great detail. But this was the actual spring right here. It's a sulfur spring. And
yeah, I bet it smells great as a sulfur spring, and I bet that mud smells really good. The thing about sulfur, though, it does have some antibacterial properties, right? Like sulfur can, like if you have like eczema and stuff like that, sulfur water can help clear that up. So there may actually be some truth to the healing properties here.
Supposed to have healing properties.
That's what I was going to say when we started it. This is actually supposed to be a healing spring. There is documentation from the 1880s that first talk about when this spring was dug out, and the man who dug it out spent a lot of time, obviously, in the mud. And I think he had some kind of skin condition, and from all the digging around in the mud, he was healed from that. So this spring has, healing properties. That's what people have said through time. And like Dan said, it was a sulfur spring. So it's really fascinating to see this. And we've got a cover over the old spring head here. I'll take that off for just a minute. Because it's actually got
benches in there too.
An engraving of when this was built. And it says built by H.G. Were you able to read that name?
H.G. Harris.
H.G. Harris.
June 27th, 1928.
June 27th.
June 27, 1928.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
It's just a beautiful view here.
I love old architecture like this. I imagine the whole house was probably the spring house was probably built around it.
It's hard to imagine, what this place must have looked like when it was a thriving resort. Now that this is all that's left, but you can imagine how beautiful it was just by the view from the spring house here that's left. And if you look down here, there's a bunch of, I guess this is deposits from the spring down here in the water. Maybe this is some of that healing mud. Right.
Yeah, that's gonna be your healing mud, buddy. Rub it on your face.
Here, you wanna?
I was looking at how that was constructed. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is.
It's been on there a long time.
I was coming to actually give you...
That's what I'm saying, yeah. Ways to Human says, yeah, it makes sense, like the dentist telling you to rinse your mouth with salt water, or a surgeon can recommend using honey on small wound. Healing, sure. Godly, nah, exactly.
Give you a gift. I do have some of the healing.
Thank you.
You got some of the healing stuff right
sure.
here.
Let's get a jar and put it in.
All right.
Take it home for later.
There you go. That's I guess deposits of what's coming out of this water here.
There actually was a man in Columbus who used to write for the Columbus newspaper back in the old days. His name was W.C. Woodall, and I can remember hearing, I never saw it, but I've heard about it. Mr. Woodall and his family were frequent visitors here when he was a little boy. And later, when he was an adult, he wrote these columns, and he wrote about his mother and grandmother or someone coming up here and scraping the inside of the spring box. There was sulfur in there, and she would scrape it and take it home and mix it with Vaseline to make a salve of some sort that cured all kinds of skin ailments. He firmly believed in it. A lot of people around here believe in it, and I'm told that there's still people that come and drink that water.
Yeah, and sulfur, that's a true thing about sulfur, is that it can help, but it's not magic. It's not godly magic or anything.
They say it's really good.
So when Dan and I come to visit a place, we always like to leave it a little bit better than we found it, if we can. And there's actually an old trough that this water is supposed to run down. Right there, Dan's trying to clean it out right now. There it goes.
Yeah, so it was like pooling up inside the well house, and they cleaned it out there. But let's see. Sulfur has antimicrobial, anti-inflammatory effects. Sulfur is a naturally occurring element that has antibacterial and antifungal properties. Helps treat skin conditions like psoriasis, eczema, acne, and dermatitis. Can reduce inflammation and irritation and soothe itchy or scaly skin. This makes bathing in sulfur-rich water potentially helpful for certain dermatological conditions. So, yeah, it's true.
So I don't think it's supposed to be totally flooded in the spring house here. You can see the trough down there.
Oh, great.
This is not the first time we've been covered in Oak Mountain mud.
No, I may get to experience the full effect of the mud spring.
That's right. That is what this, we didn't say that. That's what this was known as.
That's what this was originally called, was Mud Springs.
That's right.
And it was called that because the owner of this brought one of his slaves up here. And he had this African-American slave came up here, and he had him in here digging this out to make a spring box. And the man supposedly had some kind of tetter on his hands that he had been affected with his entire life. And the mud cured his hands and his feet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dan is
so
demonstrating
just again a skin condition being affected by affected by the sulfur and mud combo. Doesn't it doesn't look kind of like baby diarrhea. Yeah, I bet that sulfur spring just smells great. You know, you want to rub that all over your face. Oh man, I bet digging around in that mud it probably takes 2 or 3 showers to get that stank off you.
Real right here.
Yeah.
How far down is that?
That's the funny thing. Places with high sulfur content in the groundwater, they don't smell it. Like if you go to, and I talked to Bo about this because we both had the same experience there. If you go to Amarillo, Texas, any place where there's open water and covered water, like a swimming pool, smells like somebody just like rips the nastiest farts. The shower stinks like that. The sink water stinks like that. Yeah, and then a lot of mud masks with sulfur have sulfur in them, like the ones that they sell. That's a good point.
Yeah, this used to be dug out. I think it's become just filled in.
I'm glad I'm not the only one with this freaking. I'll call it a face cold because it does in the back of my mouth a little bit. It's a little bit drippy down my throat, but mostly it's my nose is running, my eyes are dripping.
This is an amazing place. I grew up near here, and I actually never had any idea that this was here.
I would be doing that same thing as this guy. I'd be like, I'm gonna dig that shit out. It needs to flow. Let the healing waters flow forth.
Big resort it was. Springs have always fascinated me, so to be able to see one that's local like this, not far from home at all, is amazing.
Get it. Clean that hole. Oh, yeah.
This, my friends, is what happens when you bring the son of a plumber with you.
This is they have a homeowners association in this area, and it takes time to look after stuff like this. And
absolutely.
Everybody, people have to work for a living. They don't have time for this, and every once in a while, some of them will get together and volunteer and clean this up. It just hasn't been done in a while, but if I can think to come back, I'll bring a shovel with me and scoop this out a little bit.
Let's see how it's doing on the inside.
Spillway.
Oh yeah, that's cleaning up real good.
See if I can get this sludge to move on.
Trowel that out. There you go. Get it flowing. Oh yeah, get it. Clear that hole, baby.
Broom handle.
Yeah, that's what the last person used. There's the trough.
I'm sure it smells delicious. And then you go back out on the other side and clean it out. I'm actually like, this is kind of satisfying to watch. I'm not gonna lie. Clean it out, dude. Clean it out. Get it.
So I wonder what exactly this is. I mean, the consistency is like, it's not quite pudding. It's
looks like algae and iron rust. There's probably a lot of iron in this water.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Sulfur
one of those
has
old
that
heads that I have is a
red
breakdown.
color.
A chemical.
Natural sulfur has like at least oxidated sulfur has a reddish orange color too, doesn't it?
Analysis of this water.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
I have to look one of those up.
Yeah. And there it is. There's the trough now. We can see that. And like I said, we always like to leave places a little bit better. So I think we did that this time. Cleaned it up, and maybe it'll flow through a little bit longer. So I don't think it's supposed to be muddy in here like it is. Of course, we've had a very rainy season here in Georgia, but this is a concrete floor. It's up under all the mud there. But what a neat thing. This structure has been here. The spring box has been here since.
Oh, they lifted up. They lifted up the bench and laid it against the wall there. Why don't they set the bench against that wall instead of having it over top of the trough?
It was, 1928? And this has been a resort since
He's getting it. Do you see that, John Hudson? Here he goes again. He can't help himself.
It was a really big deal after the railroad came through here in the 1880s when a lot of people from Columbus would come down here. So there's a lot of amazing history here at the Oak Mountain Spring. And it's truly amazing for me to be able to see this again. I've always been fascinated by springs.
Bro is dedicated to cleaning that shit up.
And of course, old resorts and that sort of thing. And to have one like this that's so close to home, and this is my first time ever seeing this, it's absolutely amazing. Plus, we've got another upcoming video that was also filmed in Oak Mountain, in the town of Cleola. That video will be coming soon, and in that we talk about people who used to get off the railroad there to go to the old mud spring, which is right here.
The old mud spring.
Now, Dan, the real question is, are you going to try the water?
No, I think I'll wait.
I'll try it.
Okay. What do you want?
He's going to drink some of it.
I'm going to cut my hand.
We're going to watch now. Here we go.
I figure that the stuff that's growing here is the same stuff that's coming out of this water, so
Yeah.
let's see. I'm going to wash my hands first, though.
Well, looking over in there, there's some nasty algae on top of the water in that
Yeah, I saw
reservoir there.
I did take notice of that.
Yeah.
I would
All
not
right,
drink
I'm gonna do
this.
it, so, I mean, it's healing water, though, so let me rinse my hands.
It'll poison you and heal you at the same time.
That's what I was thinking.
I would not drink this water.
Okay, so if you wake up tomorrow morning with something special,
What? I keep noticing more of that rusty algae on my hand, and I realize it's because I'm wiping it from the bottom of this.
yeah.
So I don't think this is like a topical healing water, not a potable healing water. So let's just rub it on yourself instead of like bathe in it. Yeah, rub it on your body and let yourself. So if I was to go here and try to experiment with this, I would not drink this. I would rub it on my body though, and let it set and see what happens. When he's done, it will be the glorious of holes, right? It's like God's healing glory hole.
That's not good.
All right. Let me wash my hands in the healing water again. I'm gonna do it this time.
He's gonna drink it. Do it, dude. Drink that muddy algae
I'll
water.
either get really sick or be healed. It's very high in iron.
Really? Yeah.
It tastes like. Hold on. Let me get another sip of that.
Tastes like rusty water, rusty pipes.
Have you ever been lost in the desert for a while and you find
Is there metal in the well house there in the spring house?
a mud puddle that's got a bunch of old nails in it? A bucket of water. It's a bucket, actually. You've been lost in the desert for a long time, and you come across this bucket that's filled up with nails and rainwater is collected in, and you're so thirsty you have to drink it. That's what this water tastes like.
That's an oddly specific situation. How often does that happen to you? That you're lost in the desert and you're thirsty and you find a bucket of rainwater and nails?
Okay.
You should try it.
That's okay. I'll take your word for it. Now, after this thing is cleaned out, sure, I'll drink it. But
Yes,
over
it's
in there,
magic
that needs to be
healing
dipped
water,
out.
Cap.
Yeah, it does. I'll have to do that next time.
That's
I want to reach down. I'll reach down in there.
I had a light here. Let me go. You got your light?
It's a sulfur spring. Yes, magic healing water.
It's in the truck, but I do have
Cell phone light?
cell phone light. That's what I just drank.
Yeah. Cobwebs and all.
I guess I'll be coming to y'all from the doctor tomorrow. Oh gosh. Well, see, I was drinking the water that was underneath that.
Yeah.
So all that water underneath there is good.
Oh, just
Just need to stir
that's
and clean
on
it out.
top.
It's
Yeah.
It's
Oh, look
actually
under
down
there.
below there. It looks like it's about 12 inches deep below that sludge on the surface.
And it's crystal clear.
Uh-huh.
Look at that. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's good water.
No,
That's okay.
no,
It really- in
gross.
all
Don't drink.
seriousness-
Don't drink that.
And I'm not the best way that I can describe the flavor of that water is if you've ever had a like a bucket that has nails in it, get filled up with water and it smells rusty. That's how that water tastes. And I don't mean anything bad by it. It's
No,
got
that's-
a real unique flavor.
That's what sold it long ago.
I don't know, but what I do know is I found one of these
I would imagine it tastes like sulfur.
flowers out here earlier, and I don't know what it is. So if you do, leave me a comment down below because ain't that just the prettiest thing? Look at that.
What is
It's a
that?
tulip poplar.
This is a tulip poplar. I don't need a comment because Dan just told me.
I didn't say that. Never mind.
Tulip poplar, huh?
It's a tulip poplar. It's beautiful though. That's neat.
That's
That's not
pretty.
a tree, is it?
Yeah.
It's not the blooming tree. Well, we're gonna put the spring cover back on for now.
See, I wonder if that screen on top of there is responsible for the metal. Because that's a metal screen, and it looks like it's been on there for years. And every time it rains or the ceiling drips or snow melts or anything, it's draining that onto that metal screen down into that water. I wonder if that's not the source of the metallic taste, right? Like if they switched the cover out to something without a screen on it, if it would taste different. If they'd be able to taste the sulfur more instead of that metal. Because when he talks about that, that smell, that's what it reminds me of too, is like a rusty screen, when it rains on a rusty screen. Why would you drink that? To give you dysentery. If you want to know what it feels like to poop blood, go drink from the spring.
Dan has done a fine job cleaning the trench out.
I wish I'd brought a shovel, but I didn't know we'd be doing this.
Yeah.
I wouldn't take a minute to scoop all this mud out of here.
Right. Yeah, I should have one in the back of my truck, especially after that time we got stuck on Oak Mountain in the mud.
Yeah, you go out in these back roads, you need a shovel.
All right, everybody. Do you have anything to add, Dan?
Not right now.
Yeah.
We'll come up with some things.
We'll be coming back here. A lot of history here, really interesting place, and there's definitely a story here that deserves to be told. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If I make it from this water, I will see you next time. If not, then Dan will be coming to you with another adventure into history on Oak Mountain all by himself. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
It'll give you Deadpool healing powers. Let's look at this place though. It's not in California. It's in Georgia. All right. I think it's this one up here. Oak Mountain Springs. Yes. So this is the Oak Mountain Resort that they're talking about. In the springs right there, but you can't really get down in there very close. This is about as close as you can get is this section up here, but there is the entryway to the resort is still, oh, passed it up. Hold on. The entryway to the resort is still here. This is it right here. This is like the road that those gentlemen would have come down, and it goes on back in. And if you look at the map, goes on back into the Oak Mountain Spring. They were standing about right here. You can see where it flows down into the Oak Mountain Reservoir, or Oak Mountain, what is this? Oak Mountain Lake, right? Oak Mountain Spring Lake, yeah. So it flows down from there. But the road that they took is like right over here. 717. If you want to go here, if you're in Georgia and you can go here, 717 Wisteria Circle, and go to the Oak Mountain Springs. That'd be pretty cool to see people from the Hive actually going out here and checking this place out. But we're not done with the Magic Springs. That's just the ones that Sidestep Adventure History has to show us. There's another healing spring that's actually more famous and actually still pretty active.
The video that you're fixing. The video that you're fixing to watch is true. Now, after filming this, I was so intrigued by the stories that I heard, I had to go out and find me some jugs so I could fill them with some of this water. Now, my wife has been suffering with sciatica for several months, and sometimes the pain is so great that it brings her to tears.
This is the problem I have with this whole grift of healing springs and healing waters, or anything that's alleged to be healing. People actually suffering and in pain are believing in this and foregoing proper medical care to try a woo-woo treatment. I need to know what happened to the guy later. I'm going to talk with a Savannah accent and gather later. Oh, nice. Not really hungover. I ate like 4 grams of shrooms last. Hell yeah. That's the way you celebrate. Do you watch the fireworks on shrooms? That make them less stressful. Feeling kind of drained though. So we played Battle Shots last night after my stream in the family room while we watched Ghostbusters. Is how we did 4th of July. Me and Ben and Bo. And I don't know if you ever played Battle Shots before, but there are 12 or 14, depending on if you do the airstrikes or not. There are 12 shots that you take during the game. So we didn't take full shots though. We took like half shots. So it was more like 6 shots per game. But still, it was pretty rad. And I thought I was gonna be hungover this morning, and I wasn't. So thank goodness. I almost ran out of outside with peanuts. I thought those were my crows at first. Oh, because I hit that button? Yeah, and it made that sound. I should get a crow sound effect. I do have sound effects on here now. If you type certain commands in, like if you type in woo, it should do like a X-File thing. There you go, yeah. do this about the healing springs. And what is it? I have other ones too. There's so you all can type those commands in too, just so you know. Oh yeah, my favorite one might be, this is how I feel about that guy eating or drinking out of that well. Or that spring. A soundboard that you all can control.
Danger. Unbelievable.
Danger. I love that. I need a good crow calling on there. Was it Swarm? One of my favorites is the Swarm one. Hold on. Yeah, it's just Swarm. So, if you do Swarm, talks about the bees. No, I didn't mean to open up Inkscape.
Bees! Bees everywhere! They're huge and they're sting crazy!
Yeah, but what do I have? I need to get crows, but I do have wolf howls though. Ow! It should howl anyway. Nice, there we go. So you all can turn to hit those buttons when you think something's dangerous. You can do danger. Or if there's a troll, we can swarm them.
I came home that Friday night and told her some of these stories and told her to try the water. And of course she scoffed it off, but she drank a glass and then joked with me later today, well, I don't feel anything. But the next morning, that Saturday morning, she drank probably, within a few hours, probably a quart. The whole rest of the day, in fact, that whole weekend, she had no pain whatsoever, something that she hadn't had for several months. And of course, after that weekend, she didn't drink anymore. And of course, the pains come back. So,
do you know what a placebo effect is?
My question is this stuff for real? Well, we will let you watch the video and you decide. Hello, everybody. Carolina Tony. Today, I drove 3 hours to get the place where I'm going to make this video. Now, I have done all types of natural spring videos, and you can go to the playlist and see those. But today we are in
Let's speed you up a little.
Carolina, near Barnwell, South Carolina. And we're going to look at something amazing. God's Healing Springs. Right after the station identification.
No, we're not doing that. We're not doing your song, sorry. God's Healing Acres. Healing Spring. God's Healing Acre Healing Springs. According to tradition, the Indians reverenced the water for its healing properties as a gift from the Great Spirit. They led the British wounded to their secret waters during the American Revolution, and the wounds were healed. This historical property has been deeded to God for public use. Please revere God by keeping it clean. So, do not go to South Carolina and poop in this spring. Do not.
It's a paved road that comes in here with a little picnic area. And of course, Healing Springs is right down there. Here's a monument. God's Acre, Healing Springs, deeded to the Almighty God to be used by the sick and the afflicted. L.P. Lute Boylston, July the 21st, 1944. The most precious piece of earth I have ever owned.
There's your magic healing water. Aren't you excited? I probably would drink this one. It looks pretty clean and fresh. Looks like a fresh spring. I would not drink the one with the nastiness pouring out of it, though.
The Healing Springs, the ownership has passed down through several hands. Eventually, L. Boylston bought this, and in 1944, he deeded this property to God. And now it belongs to God and all the people.
Is that so?
According to legend, right after a bloody battle during the Revolutionary War, 4 soldiers were supposedly killed, and their commander ordered them to be buried right there where they lay. But fortunately, some local Indians found them and took them back and gave them some of this healing water, and not long after
And this is folklore.
that, they were restored.
Or potentially fake lore, let's be honest.
And doing great. All right, well, I came down to God's Healing Spring, and I met this gentleman here, Quinn.
Yeah, something. I believe they bought it. They bought this property from the Indians or from the natives for like some corn. Yeah, literally.
Caldwell, and he's going to tell us a couple stories about the Healing Springs.
Well, I've been coming down here probably for like 3 or 4 months now, and I tell people about the water in my hometown. I usually give the water away. Like I post it on Facebook and things like that. I get a reaction. People wanting the water, and I give them the water, and they usually text me back instantly, maybe the next day, and tell them some of the things how the water has benefited them.
Anecdotes for his water.
One girl, she told me here, excuse me, but heard me for maybe like 2 weeks straight, and she told me she drank like 3 or 4 cups of the water, and the next morning she woke up, there was no flow. Like it helped her that quick. And a lot of people. A couple people I heard been having muscle pains in their like arms or their fingers or legs, and they drink the water and the pain is gone. I actually did it.
It's magic water for your joints. Just toss grandma in; she'll be all right.
The water pH test for the water, and it's above 8.8. So
I feel like everywhere I've lived has a spring people were nuts about, but not usually with all the God shit, but just mineral claims and a little fluoride scaring. So I'm from Missouri. There's lots of springs in Missouri. But my little town had 2 major springs in it. 3 springs. And they converged on each other. But there was one by where I used to live, where I lived probably for the longest of my adult life. Towards by the elementary school, it had a nice like little metal cover over it and stuff. The water would come out really cold and crisp. Ran right by the school, right by the football field and stuff. But I mean, we played in that as kids all the time. Hell, I played in that with my kids as an adult when I lived there. The other springs are there's one there's a little park in the middle of town, like right across from the courthouse. It's called Big Spring Park. It has the cabin and stuff in it, like talking about this is the spring that the town was founded around. And it's still there, and it flows, and it meets that spring that comes from the school. By the school, they converge into to this creek. Now, there was a 3rd spring that I say, nobody else but us knew about it, but there was like no industrialization. It literally came out of the cliff face. And ran into the creek right at the edge of town, close to where my mom lived. So this is the forest that I grew up playing in. And there was a spring that we would drink out of all the time. And my mom would get mad about it and tell us that we shouldn't drink out of it because there was too much calcium in it and it was going to calcify our insides. So, yeah, I get that. I get the whole scare thing. This was in the late 80s, early 90s. No, it would have been the 90s because we didn't move into that house until 1991. So it would have been early 90s, but just that the irony that that you're talking about fluoride, but this was before fluoride was the big scare. Well, maybe in our little town anyway. It was about them calcifying your insides. Calcifying your insides.
It's natural alkaline water. You can't lose this water.
Wow.
Natural healing.
Wow. And how far away do you live?
I stay in
alkaline water.
It's probably like an hour and 30-minute drive.
And you try to get here every week?
Every week I try to come down just for the feel of it.
Awesome. Thank you.
I wish I had that much freedom where I could just drive an hour and a half every week to come down and stand in some natural springs.
Now, as I said, people come from all over to get this water. This fellow in that truck there, he loaded up with a lot of jugs of this water. People drive from all over, so it's got...
I do like how Southern people call it water. You gotta get this water.
There's got to be something to it. I think I'm going to get me a sip.
Why you gotta be creepy about it, dude?
Man, that It's smooth
Drink out of a Hardy's cup.
and surprisingly pretty cold, right out of the ground.
It's got some Hardy's tea in there. Yeah. Did you have your Hardy's coffee before?
Yeah, great.
So you can actually go here too. Homie gotta fill up his jugs. Again, I would drink this water, but I drink out of that spring that came out of the cliff face at home too, because that was not near anything gross. The alkaline water. So we have sulfur water versus alkaline water. So you cleanse your outside with sulfur water and your inside with alkaline water.
Well, you did think I would drive all this way and not take some home. Okay, it's time to head back home. Hope you have enjoyed our trip to God's Acre, Healing Springs. And we're going to see if this water really works. But for now, y'all have a good day.
All right. So he goes back, and we're going to look at that in a minute right there. But first, let's go to God's Acres Healing Spring. Which is, so here's that's the Oak Mountain Spring. God's Acres Healing Spring is over here in the South Carolina. Right here. Yep, and we can drop right down on the spring itself, so that's pretty cool. I mean, as close as you're going to be able to get from while still being on the road. But you can see there's the sign that we looked at. And there's somebody getting some water right there. So that's the spring. It flows down into this creek right here. And if we zoom out, that's Windy Hill Creek. So technically, if you go and jump in this little body of water over here, it should have some healing properties. Is there a pond back there? It showed on the map. Hold on. Is there like a reservoir or pond back there? Yes, right there. Yeah, you gotta jump in there. That's that same healing water right there. Just flowed down and pooled. So instead of just getting it from the spring, you can run and jump in, right? Get yourself nice and healed. But it's not sulfur water. So it's alkali water. Oh wow, that used to be a lot bigger of a body of water. But don't go down in here north of the spring, because there's no healing there. It doesn't get the healing until you get down here. All right. So our buddy went back. Carolina Tony went back to the Healing Springs a couple years ago. Let's check in with him. Come on, Tony. That way. Show you exactly how to get there. Healing Springs. That stone looks different than the last
Hey
one.
y'all, I'm Carolina Tony. Thank you for stopping by my channel. Today the road brings me to God's Healing Acre, or the Healing Springs. And this land has been deeded to God for the use of his people. I've been here before.
I wonder if I could write up a deed of God deeding this to me. And I could like put a trailer on this property or something. Just trying to think out loud how to get some free property.
But I decided to come back today and meet some more people and listen to some of their stories. And you get to come with me. And we'll get started right after this station identification. donated by LP.
We watched you say that, but read that before.
It was deeded to the Almighty God to be used by the sick and afflicted.
Beaver fever? What? You're gonna have to explain yourself, sir.
I am at a place near Blacksville, South Carolina, called God's Healing Acre Springs. According to tradition, the Indians revered the water for its healing properties.
Not reverend, revered.
As a gift from the Great Spirit, they led the British wounded to their secret waters during the American Revolution, and the wounded were healed. This historical property has been deeded to God for public use.
He was just reading the sign that we read a minute ago. The question Bugbot's asking is kind of pertinent to what we're seeing here. Why does Dixie have so many cryptids? Because cryptids are obviously holdover extinct animals from the Pleistocene, but they survive in Dixie because they can drink the healing water when they start to feel like they're going extinct. I imagine those signs were donated by church organizations and stuff like that in the area. I would assume that nobody really, like, no individual paid for them. I don't know, but they have a couple of signs. They really want you to know about this magic spring. I hope you don't have to pee.
This water has been flowing up through the ground for hundreds of years.
I'm gonna let Tony talk for a minute. I do have.
And they've come in and put
irony
piping down in the water to make it a little more sanitary. But it runs and it flows into this stream, then in turn goes on into the swamp. There's a cross that someone has put up. It says, "Open your hearts. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come in with him and dine with him, and he with me." Revelations 3:20. And people are driving in and out of this little park all day long. I spoke with a lady just a few minutes ago that told me that she drove from Atlanta this morning, which is several hours away, and that she drinks nothing but this water. And when she started a month ago, she was on blood pressure medicine, and now she is not. All right, well, I brought 3 jugs, and I am going to partake shortly of the healing waters. There are some folks that they come down and they get really serious. There's a truck behind me that has.
That was totally real. I
gallons.
actually did have this. The sound of this water made me run to the bathroom, but I had to come back because this guy is talking about drinking this water instead of taking your meds. Do not drink this water instead of taking your meds. I'm going to exemplify that right now by taking my meds. And if you have meds that you take, it's probably too late in the day for a lot of you all in more easterly areas to call this your morning meds. But I'm taking my morning meds right now because I don't have any healing water to take instead, I guess. Yeah. The idea of taking, no, not that one. At least not yet. That one I just took. I take a lot of meds. It takes a lot of medications to build a brie. So, yeah. It's this one. That one I need. Yep. All right. So, go ahead and take this for my face pain as well. Because I'm feeling it, Mr. Krabs. And then it's morning somewhere. It's morning here. It's morning here. Still, it's only 10:30 here in the mountain, which means like if there's anybody watching on the West Coast, it's only 9:30, which is perfectly reasonable time to take morning meds, right? All right. There we go. I'm taking my indigestion medication too, because I ate a lot of spicy wieners last night. And I'm not even joking. Ben grilled up a whole variety of different sausage links and stuff, or chicken links, and some of them were super spicy. Speaking of Ben, he also bought me this coffee. I guess I was talking to him about having trouble with the Keurig this morning, and he's like, "Oh, you got coffee on the Pride Rock." So Pride Rock is like this thing that sticks out that we put our mail and stuff on.
Alan.
I call it that because it sticks out like Pride Rock from the Lion King in the middle of our front room.
Jugs on it. So far this morning, I have spoke with several people that have driven great distances. Now, they didn't want to be put on camera, but I have heard.
Right, because they don't want their doctor to find out that they're stopped taking their meds and they're drinking magic water instead. If I was their doctor, I would be like, "Hey, I saw you on this YouTube channel drinking magic water instead of taking your sciatica medication. Is that right?"
All types of stories how this has helped with arthritis.
It's different down here, Native Atheist. I don't know how to describe it. Like the food, everything down here is spicy. You can't even get like McDonald's and you can taste there's a spice to it. It's hard to explain. But my tummy gets sensitive to that crap.
Arthritis has helped with people sleeping. All sorts of stories where this water has helped them. Apparently it does, because
So are you trying to tell me that this Carolina Tony Stark?
a lot of these folks have driven several hours to come to partake of these healing waters. Must be something to it. So you come from Aiken, you get this. How long does it last you before you have to come back?
6 months.
6 months. Wow. So
yeah, they put taps on natural springs or faucets and stuff. They generally don't have a shut off though. This guy's going to tell us all about it.
you have come this morning to the Healing Waters, and you've been coming for how long?
What's his shirt say? Black Father. Okay. A man who stepped up to the challenge, his children stepped up to the challenge his children to be kings and queens, has risen above the negative, father and is king of his own. Okay.
Been coming for years.
Okay.
Probably 30-something years, and this right here, this water, I really love it. It's cool.
This is the perfect male body. Based on if you drink magic healing water, you too can have this body.
And if my blood pressure is right, my diabetes is right, I don't even have to take no insulin because I had laid off the water for.
You listen, people. Again, I can't punctuate this enough. Do not stop taking your insulin and drinking magic water instead. Just don't.
Wow, because I live all the way in Charleston.
And how far is Charleston from here?
About 80-something miles.
Okay.
And see, I'm going to Healing Spring to get me some water. I came not too long ago, and I've been on it ever since.
Really?
They keep talking about being on it like it's some kind of drug or medication or something. No, stop.
The doctor said, I don't know what you're doing, but keep doing it.
It's worth the drive then, isn't it?
It's drive.
So about how much do you drink a day?
I try to drink about a half a gallon a day.
Well, that's about what we should, I guess.
Right.
Yeah. That is awesome. And what's your name?
Fred.
Fred. I'm Carolina Tony.
Okay. All right.
You go to YouTube and check my channel out.
Okay. Then.
And you'll see yourself in a few weeks.
Okay. All right. I will do.
Did you get Fred's permission to record him? It seems like he was like a little off put by that.
And just told me that sometimes you can come down and there will be people bathing in this creek, and said that even though this creek's only just like 4 inches, that people get out in it and lay down in it because they say it helps them.
Do it, Tony. Carolina Tony, get your ass in that water. Was that a healed frog?
It's just a little side note. I came down to Healing Springs this morning and I met this lady, and she is selling some of her vegetables and muscadine grapes and watermelons that she grew. And before anybody asks, I'll let you know, yes, I did buy some tomatoes, and I am going to have me a tomato sandwich with Duke's mayonnaise tonight. So if you come to God's Healing Springs, you can see all these folks down here loading up on water. You meet this lady and get some tomatoes.
So that's a good hustle, though. Like, if there's a natural landmark like that and they let you set up, hell yeah, set up and sell say, hey, I you know what you could do? I grew these watermelons with water collected at this healing spring. So these are healing watermelons. Lady, let's work on a business contract. I'm just gonna say, if you start selling these watermelons as God's healing watermelons from God's healing spring, God's healing tomatoes, girl, come on now.
From her, and you tell her Carolina Tony sent you.
All right.
God's Acre, Healing Springs. By tradition, Healing Springs got its name during the Revolutionary War. In 1781, after a bloody battle at nearby Windy Hill Creek, 4 wounded Tories sent inland from Charleston by General Banstray, the butcher, Tarleton, were left in the care of 2 comrades.
I believe that's Bannister. By General Bannister, the butcher, Tarleton, yeah. I believe that first name is pronounced is pronounced Bannister, which is, they used to be a more common first name. It's not, people don't name their kids that anymore.
Who had orders to bury them when they died. Luckily, Native Americans found them and took them to their secret, sacred Healing Springs. 6 months later, the Charleston garrison was astonished by the reappearance of the 6 men. All were strong and healthy. Ownership of the springs passed from the native Indian tribes who revered them to an Indian trader, Nathaniel Walker, who bought them with corn.
Yeah, he bought their magic healing spring with corn.
The site passed through several hands until it was acquired by L.P. Boylston. On July the 21st, 1944, he deeded the land and the springs to God. The waters, by analysis, are exceptionally pure and contain helpful minerals. People today, as in the past, believe they are truly healing springs. All right, well,
have they been analyzed, though? Let's look. They have a website. God's Acres, or God's Acre Healing Springs. By tradition, Healing Springs got its name during the Revolution. This is what that guy just read. Yeah, General Bannister Butchers. That's the sign. It's just recapping what's on that sign. That's the second sign that we looked at. Native Indian tribes in quotation marks. So we don't even know who the tribe that this was allegedly bought from by this Nathaniel Walker. With some corn. That's how you do it. That's how you trade Indians who didn't think how you Indians in quotes. They got me saying Indians now. How you dupe Native Americans who had no concept of land ownership because well, I shouldn't say they had no concept. Depends on the peoples and what you mean by land ownership too. So, but yeah, trading them some corn for it. The site passed through several hands until it was acquired by L.P. Boylston on July 21st, 1944. He deeded the land and the spring to God. How about deeding it back to the native people that you took it from? The water, by analysis, are exceptionally pure and contain healthful minerals. Erected in 1998 by the Frank and Lucy Hartzog Foundation and the Blackville Area Historic Society. The historical markers are listed in these topics. Okay. It gives you the location here, so if you don't have trouble finding it, you can actually come out here to their website and find it. It's the intersection of State Highway 3 and the Healing Springs Road. Yeah, which we did see. Healing Springs Road right there. Yeah, and there's Highway 3 coming by. All right. And go back to, there we go. All right. Other markers. At least 10 other markers were within 7 miles of this marker, measured as a crow flies. A different marker, also named God's Acre Healing Springs. Yes, they got lots of signs. Signs everywhere to let you know God's Acre is here. This was updated in 2016, though, so some things have changed. Like when we looked at the spouts and stuff, they didn't have this framework around them anymore. I don't know if that's something they've changed recently, but yeah, this is God's Acres, and then we looked at the Oak Mountain Healing Springs. So, what do you all think about this phenomena? I mean, I definitely grasp the sulfur water thing as being a topical healing spring, right? I do. That does check out to my brain. My brain's like, okay, that makes sense. I can process that. But none of this gives me any reason to think that it would be healthy, like moving through your system. I mean, sure, you can get minerals and things like that from it, but that's not going to heal you from an affliction, right? That's not going to heal an illness. It's not going to cure your diabetes or your sciatica. It's just not. That's not how those things work. You can't deed it back to the native Indians. They aren't proper Christians. Oh goodness, Big Zebra, I hadn't even thought about that. Can we convert them first? The ghost of Joseph Smith has entered the chat. Oh no. By the way, in case you don't know, yesterday my neighbors to the south celebrated the treason against their lawful monarch. Yeah. But those are the only 2 healing springs that I have. There's plenty more. There's even some in the old world, which I might divide that up. I might make this one like Healing Springs of Dixie or something like that, because there's other healing springs. There's healing springs up here and up here. Healing Springs in Florida. They have the Fountain of Youth. So there's lots to cover. I'm sure every continent has healing springs that we could explore, right? And we may, but for right now, we're gonna cut this one off here. But what do you guys think about the healing properties, though? I want to know. I do. I want to know how you all feel about the magic that's inside of these waters flowing from deep within the earth. Is it God's power flowing forward? Is it the Great Spirit? What is causing this? All right. You let me know. We'll break it down. Appreciate you for sticking around with me today. Please remember to be kind, take care, and we'll see you next time. Yeah, my makeup is totally wrecked on this side. I'm just being a baby about it, because I'm used to looking freaking on point, and it's annoying me to have my one eye still looking sharp and then the other one looking all shitty. But what are you gonna do? I had a cold in my eye, so it's not. My eye actually feels a lot better now, but hopefully that continues, because last night my eyes were like so bad, they were like gooey and so nasty and shut. I think Kali Ma would say, "Mama, don't drink doo-doo water." That fucked up well. That seems like good advice. Seems like good advice to all of us. This isn't the end of the show. I, of course, have Breeze Bestiary coming up here in just a second, and we are beginning a series. I'm going to try to run. I'm going to see how I like doing it, about man-eaters. So we're going to go through, each week we're going to go through different species that are known to prey on humans and kind of explore the concept and how humans and these animals interact now in modern times and historic times, how that has gone down. And this week we're doing hyenas. So, yeah. I'm going to be there in just a minute. So yeah, I will see you guys over there in Breeze Bestiary right after these ads and intermissions. Hello, my beauties and bees, and welcome to another installment of Breeze Bestiary in our summer of man-eaters. We are going to be looking at all sorts of cool creatures coming up in the remainder of the summer. As a matter of fact, let me show you. I'm just going to use this as a kind of a jumping off point for this whole process, but we're talking about man-eating animals that habitually eat humans. There are obviously a lot of them from across the animal kingdom, but big cats do take the cake. About 1,000 people in the early 1900s. But so tigers, lions, leopards, jaguars. Then you get into the wolves and dingoes and domestic dogs, coyotes, jackals, bears, hyenas, pigs, primates, rats, crocodiles, alligators, snakes, lizards, birds, fish. So you got sharks, piranhas and catfish and groupers and cephalopods. Oh my. So there's going to be a lot to cover in this segment, and it may roll on into the fall too. I don't know how I'm going to handle this. I do want to cover them all though. I wanted to start off with my fave, which is hyenas. I love hyenas, and let's look at what the article here has to say about hyenas and human predation. So hyenas is listed under other mammals, so not they don't get quite the fanfare that the big cats or the canines or the bears get. But when it comes to prolific man-eaters, hyenas are known to be a bit vicious. Although hyenas readily feed upon human corpses, they are generally very wary of humans and less dangerous than the big cats whose territories overlap with theirs. Nonetheless, both the spotted and the smaller striped hyena are powerful predators, quite capable of killing an adult human, and are known to attack people when food is scarce. Like most predators, hyena attacks tend to target women, children, and infirm men. Though both species can and do attack healthy adult males on occasion, the spotted hyena is more dangerous of the two species, being larger and more predatory and more aggressive than the striped hyena, also living in larger packs. The brown hyena and the aardwolf are not known to prey on humans. All right. So there's a couple of places in South Africa where you are going to get attacked by hyenas if you travel around it late at night. The first one we're going to look at is Kenya, near Nairobi. This has been super recent. We'll get back to this, but yeah, it's this region right here is just jam-packed with hyena attacks. But historically, Malawi is the hyena capital of the world. This is also where the cryptid, the terror beast of Malawi, also made its debut in the 60s. Now, it's a cryptid because it was never identified or whatever, but it was the spotted hyena. And we may cover it sometime. I'm probably going to mix it in with the Nandi bear, like I did with the Beast of Dean and the Hogzilla, just kind of combining them together. That's the plan. Anyway, but this is where a lot of the hyena attacks take place, and especially around this Mulanje Mountain Forest Reserve, which these are beautiful mountains, by the way. Look at this. Beautiful mountains. See if we can drop down here. Yeah. Look at this. Look at this beautiful little waterfall, the rushing waters, stone walkway and bridges and stuff. But see if we can get a better view of the mountains, though. Yeah, what if we step up here? Yes. Aw, it's inside. Lame. I want to see the mountains. I want to see mountains, Gandalf. Mountains. And then find a nice quiet place to finish my book. You better not be inside. Okay. Yeah, but look, this is a wild place, right? And hyenas and lions and leopards roam this wilderness. So the people in this little village right here, some live in fear of the hyenas, unfortunately. But look at that. Isn't that beautiful? I love seeing mountains, and especially in other countries and stuff. Oh, homie's taking a picture right there. Yeah. It is weird to see pylons and power lines in Africa. It doesn't, my brain doesn't compute it. Dire hyena, mega hyena. Yeah, that's the Nandi bear. It's on the poles. If you look at the poles, right? It's on there. It's called the Nandi bear. So if you want to talk about mega hyenas, or possibly African bears, depending on which route you believe in, vote for that on the poll. which, I may have out later tonight or tomorrow. I generally it's Saturday or Sunday. Sometimes it's much later in the week. But anyway, so in addition to Africa, India has a lot of hyena attacks too. But I've rambled enough on this map here. Let's watch this quaint little video from Thera Planet. How dangerous are hyenas?
How dangerous are hyenas to humans?
Pretty freaking dangerous.
Hyenas are large, powerful animals with a stocky build and a distinctive sloping back. They have large
God,
heads.
I love hyenas so much. I was just talking last night on a werewolf episode. I was like, what were animal would I be? And I'm a were hyena. I make up situations driving me crazy every time I see my reflection or every time I see myself in the mirror. I'm going to pull my hat down so I don't have to look at it. Stupid tears washing away my beautiful goth makeup. They have large heads and boopable snoots.
Powerful jaws and long legs for running.
Stonky.
Hyenas are known for their loud whooping calls and eerie laughter. Though hyenas are commonly thought to be scavengers that feed on the remains of prey hunted down by other animals, there are various...
That is absolutely false, especially for striped hyenas. Not striped hyenas, spotted hyenas. Spotted hyenas are apex predators and that's the thing. People look at a lion and look at a hyena next to each other like, oh, definitely the lion's the more successful predator. Clearly the lion is the dom and the hyena's the sub, but actually the hierarchy goes a lot different than that, because there's a third player in the game that often gets mixed up with the spotted hyena called the African wild dog or African painted dog that is the top dog in this ecosystem, right? It goes African wild dogs, spotted hyenas, and then lions, and then leopards, right? That's the hierarchy. It's not lions on top, even though they're the big guys. Yeah, being big means they can do more kleptoparasitism, which is what lions do more than hyenas, which is the scavenging. You're more likely to see a lions eating a hyena's kill than see hyenas eating a lion's kill. I would, based on what we're seeing here from this organism that's laying on the ground, I'm going to speculate that the hyenas killed this ungulate. The lion could have. I mean, I'm not 100% sure. But just the wounds inflicted upon the animal are more akin to how hyenas kill than how lions kill. But that may be because the lion started eating it too, so I don't know for sure. All cats will remove that stomach out so that the bile doesn't get into the meat. So that's like a normal thing for them to do. So, but speculating that it looks like this thing was started to be consumed from the back end, that really makes me feel like the hyenas might have been the one to take this down.
Incidents that demonstrate that they can be highly dangerous and efficient hunters. Contrary to the widespread belief that hyenas only scavenge, 95% of the food they consume comes from hunting. Hyenas are known for their intelligence and social behavior, in addition to their physical abilities.
You don't want to be stalked by hyenas.
Hyenas are also extremely adaptable, surviving in a wide range of environments, from savannas to forests to deserts. They live in clans and have a complex social hierarchy.
You keep saying this like about hyenas in general, but that's not true about, I mean, you could say spotted hyenas when you're talking about this, because striped hyenas don't live in clans. They live in small family groups. So do brown hyenas. So neither one of those, and aardwolves are mostly solitary. Now, aardwolves are tiny. Aardwolves are smaller than a coyote. And they're not robust because they eat ants. They are insectivores. They'll eat other small stuff too, but yeah, largely. Largely they are insectivorous. Now, brown hyenas and striped hyenas are more scavengers. They don't. This 95% that's being cited here is specifically for spotted hyenas. striped hyenas and brown hyenas have a much higher scavenging rate than that, and they also have a more varied diet with a lot less large ungulates than spotted hyenas, just because they're smaller, and they'll feed on a wider range of things. Brown hyenas in the Kalahari along the coast actually have seal pups. Seal pups is a large part of their diet, because the seals pup on that beach there, and the brown hyenas come down at night and grab the pups and eat them.
Dominant female or male group leader. Hyenas are also known for their teamwork when hunting. They're
cursorial predators like wolves. They can hunt over miles and miles and wear down their prey.
Packs and can take down prey much larger than themselves. Furthermore, hyenas have a high tolerance.
Much larger than themselves is an understatement. They actually will try. They will try rhinos and hippos. There's a artery right underneath the anus on these large ungulates that if the hyena bites it, it can cause the animal to bleed out and die. And they will sneak up in there and try to bite the ungulates on that spot and tear it and run away and wait for the beast to bleed out. That's like a thing they do.
For toxins and can digest food that is too tough or rotten for other predators to consume. Do hyenas attack humans?
It's because they drink healing spring water, I bet.
Yes,
yeah, they do.
Hyenas do attack humans, and there are several records of the same. Hyenas can be dangerous to humans, particularly when threatened or provoked.
I'm going to say don't threaten or provoke any kind of wildlife, because that's like a FAFO situation.
Hyenas are known for their ability to take down large prey due to their strong jaws and sharp teeth. The bite force of spotted hyenas...
It's not really their sharp teeth. It's their crushing teeth. Their powerful teeth. Their teeth aren't as sharp as like a wolf's teeth. They're broader, which makes them more able to crush bones. A hyena could break your leg in a second. Just
is 1,100 psi, powerful enough to shatter bones. While hyenas are not known to actively seek humans as prey, they can become aggressive if they...
Well, that's not true either. In Malawi, they seek humans as prey.
...feel threatened or encroached on their territory. They tend to attack the easiest prey, like children and women, and their conflict with humans is more on the rise with the increasing population in Africa. When hunting as a pack, hyenas can easily take down a perfectly healthy and strong human as well.
Oh, no doubt. I like how it's showing the striped hyenas here and implying that they're in a pack, even though this is just a mother with her cubs, or baby hyenas are called. Are they cubs? Are they kittens? Hyena cubs. Hyena pups? They might be pups.
So what will you do with face-to-face with hyena? Tell us here.
Oh, you're so cute. I want to boop his snoot. Boopity, boopity, boopity. All right. That was the Theraplan talking about that, but check this out. This is the striped hyena in India.
Hello and welcome to Pause channel. Our video today is about a hyena entering a village in India and attacking a man. Hyenas often wander into villages in India for various reasons. As human populations expand and encroach...
And you notice that striped hyenas are generally solitary animals. Don't hyenas attack with their enlarged clitoris? I would if I was a hyena. Does that count?
From natural habitats, hyenas may lose their traditional territories. This loss of habitat can force them to seek food and shelter in areas closer to human settlements, including villages. Hyenas are scavengers by nature, and they may be attracted to villages by the presence of garbage dumps, livestock, or other sources of food.
Them dogs, like, get out of here. Dogs hate hyenas. It's like a thing.
Waste. They can scavenge on scraps
Hyena
or even
babies
prey
are
on
called
livestock
pups?
kept by villagers. Villages often have water sources such as ponds or open wells, which can attract hyenas, especially in regions where water is scarce. Hyenas need water to survive.
See, like India is where a hyena problem really is. Look at that.
And villages may provide convenient access to it. Villages with livestock can become targets for hyenas looking for easy prey.
These are all striped hyenas, by the way. Very bold and huge. People are like, oh, they're smaller. They're the smaller hyena. They're still massive animals. They're still ginormous canids. Not canids. Felids. Not canids. Oh my God. Punish me. Punish me for that.
If the livestock are not properly secured or guarded, hyenas may see them as easy targets for hunting. During periods of drought or famine, wild animals, including hyenas, may venture closer to human settlements in search of food and water.
They are hyena baiting there, which should be illegal, but in a lot of countries it's not.
This can increase the likelihood of encounters between hyenas and villagers. In some cases, hyenas may enter villages due to conflicts with humans, such as retaliatory killings in response to attacks on livestock or humans.
Absolutely massive units. That's a calf right there, to give you an idea how big these suckers are. Again, people downplay the size of a striped hyena because of the ginormous size of a spotted hyena, but these guys are huge, and they throw up their bristles on their back. It makes them look even bigger. Brown hyenas do that too. Striped hyenas or spotted hyenas to a lesser extent. They just have the short like pony mane kind of thing, but brown and striped hyenas have big quilly looking manes.
This can create a cycle of conflict and retaliation between villagers and hyenas. Efforts to mitigate such encounters often involve implementing measures such as better waste management to reduce scavenging opportunities, securing livestock enclosures, and raising awareness among villagers about coexisting with wildlife. Additionally, conservation efforts.
Every one of these, there's people chasing the hyena with a stick, and they're like, oh, a lot of hyena attacks. So that happens when you chase things with a stick.
To protect natural habitats can help reduce the pressure on
these are not unprovoked attacks, is what I'm saying.
Hyena populations, potentially decreasing their need to enter villages in search of resources. In regions where human populations encroach upon natural habitats, conflicts between humans and wildlife, including hyenas, can arise. These conflicts may escalate to the point where hyenas attack villagers in retaliation for perceived threats or as a result of habitat loss. In some cases, sick or injured hyenas may behave unpredictably and may be more
You
likely
don't want to get bit by a rabid hyena. Speaking of the terror beast in Malawi.
to attack humans. In some cases, diseases such as rabies can affect hyena behavior, leading to increased aggression towards humans. The good thing is that in most cases people of India don't kill these wild animals even if they keep on attacking them. Usually people will chase them so that they go back into the wild or will call authorities that'll try.
Go back into the wild. Please don't eat. It's so bad for animals' publicity, and especially animals that are rare or endangered, if they keep attacking people. So I'm going to have a meeting with my hyena friends and just talk about this.
Tranquilize them and release them back into wild.
Aw, such a good boy. Out of the cage. Let him out.
Thanks for watching, and please don't forget to like, comment, and share.
Him want it out, y'all. All right.
Fear and anger among residents of this village near the Kenyan capital, Nairobi, after a new attack by marauding hyenas. Family members say Anthony Pasha was dismembered.
This is new. This is recent. This is from February of 2020.
The person inside here, they finished him off here.
An animal has been put down following the attack. And
I mean, you live next to a national park with a wildlife reserve, so there are some expectations that you're going to be dealing with wildlife in that capacity. So, and I know a lot of people are farmers and pastoralists and things like that too.
The government should help us. We want this family to get help. Everything has been killed in this homestead. Cows were killed, goats, and now it's people. We haven't found any part of the deceased. We've not been given any help. The other 2 injured victims have been admitted to hospital. We've not been offered any help from the authorities. How long must we suffer?
Carcass? There's a band called Carcass. Yes, I know about the mirror test in the jungle. Yep. There's a few different places where they've done that with all sorts of different critters.
2 other people.
Like that close to the Capitol, that close to the university, and you get attacked by a hyena? Crazy.
Campus.
The university is next to the Nairobi National Park that's famous for its wildlife, including large predators. Maybe the university needs to build a wall. But the struggle continues. Hold on, close some of these out. That's not what I wanted.
Residents of Juja, a town some 30 kilometers north of Nairobi, live in constant fear of hyenas.
About a year ago, last June.
41-year-old security guard Pauline Mukami is the latest victim of an attack. On her way from work one evening, she encountered a wild animal that wanted to eat her alive.
Alikuwa anajaribu kunirukia shingo. Ndiye alikuwa anajaribu. Na bahati mzuri Mungu akanisaidia nikaweza kujigeuza.
The hyena tried to jump on my neck. By luck, I turned around and I was able to face him. I got help from another man nearby. He was telling me not to run. If you run, it may jump on you and bite you. I didn't run, and then it started walking ahead of me. Then it saw the flashlight from a motorbike and it ran away.
Tia Ole
Headlight from the motorbike?
Munani's 10-year-old son was not lucky. He was attacked in January by a pack of hyenas while with his friends.
For me, yeah, it's like, oh, there's we decided to put a university right in the middle of Yellowstone, and now students are being attacked by bears, so we should kill the bears. It's just, that's what that sounds like to me, but...
It dragged him 300 meters to this thicket where his remains were found. The father is struggling to accept the loss.
That's got to be rough, though, having your kid attacked like that.
Imeniadhiri vibaya sana. Sabu ni kijana mzuri.
The death of my son has affected me a lot. He was a good boy, and among all my children there is no one like him. When I go to work in the evening, he will tell me not to fear anything and not to get tired, because if you get tired, we won't get educated.
Juja has
I don't understand that euphemism at all.
Recorded 3 fatal hyena attacks and several injuries since January. Kenya's Wildlife Service has captured at least 10 hyenas in the area since that time, but some...
There's black bears and brown bears in Yellowstone. Grizzly bears, specifically the subspecies that exist in Yellowstone. They both have recorded attacks, though. And we'll do bears. We'll get to bears. We will do bears, and we'll talk about Yellowstone when it comes to bears, too. We'll talk about Yosemite, too.
Some still roam the area at night, worrying locals like Edward Omani.
These hyenas have scared us. We go to work late, and you do your work while you are worried, fearing for the family you left behind. You are thinking maybe the hyenas are back and attacked my family. It scares us a lot.
The hyenas' return to the area is blamed in part on abandoned quarries, which are perfect place for them to hide before coming out to attack people.
Oh, they've got nice little dens built into the quarries. So it sounds like you know where they're nesting at, where their dens are.
Inadequate disposal from butcheries is also to blame. Philip Murudi is the deputy head.
If it's anything like an Aussie uni, it seems cruel to have it so close to the national park. Animals deserve better than being exposed to engineering students.
Head of the African Wildlife Foundation, he says proper waste disposal is critical to mitigating human-wildlife conflict.
More as it is about wildlife behavior, it's also about human behavior.
Did you see the beginning of the show, Kristen? We did Hogzilla. So we talked about giant hogs in the south, well, in the southeast specifically, in Dixie.
So, for example, if you have an open dump where you're also throwing your refuse from the butcheries, from the meat and the bones, that's an attraction to animals. Hyenas are going to come and look for that. So keeping the environment clean is part of this equation.
Kenya Wildlife Service officials are urging...
That makes sense, though. You don't want to habituate the bears to coming into your neighborhood, Kip. That seems reasonable.
Residents of Georgia to stay calm when confronted by hyenas and not to move until the hyena starts walking away. Environmental experts, however, say the ultimate solution is getting the animals out of residential areas. Mohammed Yusuf,
maybe if you don't put the residential areas right next to the national park, that might help.
VOA News, Georgia, Kenya.
Right? And then, here we go. And then as recently as just last September, I have this story. I couldn't find a video or anything about it, but the killing of, and this is in Malawi, a Malawian man by hyenas near Kusunga National Park in an area that has become a flashpoint of human-wildlife conflict since a botched elephant translocation raises a chilling question. Are hyenas trailing the elephants, adding a new element of horror to the landscape of fear? On the night of August 6th, Simon Chirwa, 31, was walking back to his village in Malawi when the hyenas struck. It seems he may have had a drink or two after being paid for a piece job at the mill some distance from his village, and so he was perhaps staggering and attracting unwanted attention, or maybe he passed out, making him easy prey. That is the tragedy of many men in Africa who fall victims to predators. Chira was disemboweled by at least 2 hyenas seeking nutrient-rich organs such as the liver. His remains, according to Mike Lubushang, the head of the Warm Heart NGO that recorded the incident, bore the bone-chilling marks of such an attack. The wounds are typical of an attack by 2 hyenas. The victim is anchored by a limb by one hyena and then castrated or disemboweled by the second hyena. Lubushang, who examined photos of the victim, wrote in a report on the incident, which Warm Heart shared with Daily Maverick. This mirrors the clinical predation of orcas on white sharks for the liver in what marine scientists termed a seascape of fear that may explain sharks' movements out on Western Cape waters. In this terrestrial case, hyenas may herald a new horror to the landscape of fear for humans, unleashed by the botched translocation of 263 elephants to Kusunga National Park in Malawi in 2022 from Liwond National Park in the country's south. But unlike white sharks, the humans overwhelming subsistence farmers who are among the planet's poorest people have nowhere to go. At least 9 people in Malawi and Zambia, which borders the park along a pointedly unfenced boundary, have been killed by elephants since the translocation project that has spearheaded the International Fund of Animal Welfare in African Parks in cooperation with the Malawian government. Another person has been killed by a hippo, reportedly displaced by the elephants, and yet another was allegedly killed by rangers while foraging in the park for sustenance after elephants destroyed his family's crops. That's crazy. And now, as this correspondent sadly predicted in a report from the conflict zone published in July, hyenas have killed at least one person near the park. Chirwa met his grisly end almost 12 kilometers from the park boundary, and the topography of the area and lack of cover strongly suggest that the predators came from Kasungu. This brings to 11 the number of people killed by wild animals since the translocation, which was transparently ill-conceived, took place. Warm Heart has been painstakingly tracing the tracks of this travesty. The NGO has recorded over 11,000 victims on both sides of the border who have suffered crop or property damage, as well as those who lost loved ones and household breadwinners to the elephants. It's estimated that over $3 million worth of damage have been inflicted on sustenance farmers reeling from a scorched drought this year, triggered by an El Nino weather pattern. A Warm Heart investigator happened to stumble upon Chirwa's fate as he was gathering information about the latest spate of elephant actions in the area, which saw the pachyderms smashing the brick home of a small-scale farmer for the grain stored inside. The investigator interviewed people in the area and the victims' families. Brighton Kum Chidwa, the director of Mawali Department of National Parks and Wildlife, confirmed to the Daily Maverick that the hyena incident occurred. Perception of predation. When I was in the area in late June, I found that one of the perceptions among the rural people was that hyena incursion into their fields and attacks on livestock has increased since the elephant invasion began. One theory advanced by Warm Heart Lubashanig, I don't know, based on his experience in anti-poaching operations in Malawi and the unfolding carnage around Kasungu, is that hyenas and other species such as bush pigs and jackals are taking advantage of the chaos created by elephants among crops to launch their own incursion into agricultural settlements. Another is the issue of scent, which takes us into the Umwelt of the hyena. It is a German scientific term coined over the century ago and recently popularized by natural history writer Ed Yong in his insightful book, The Immense World: How Animal Sense Reveals the Hidden Realm Around Us. Umwelt refers to the animal's perceptual world, which is often hidden to humans. The smell of humans can, in Lubasheng's view, be a powerful deterrent to hyenas and an invisible to humans wall of protection for both humans and their livestock. But elephants also have an extremely strong scent that even humans can detect. When elephants invade areas of human habitation, their scent is clear and obvious to hyenas and jackals, and especially vagrant hyenas. Those vagrants not embedded in the clan will risk going into communal areas covered by the scent of elephants, Lubasheng told the Daily Maverick. Those vagrant, marginalized, hungry hyenas find the reward of pigs and goats that are astonishingly fat, calorific, tasty, and very easy to catch compared to the available prey to vagrant hyenas. Lubasheng is drawing on his observation of similar trends in the past from his anti-poaching work in Malawi. In the communities outside the southeastern border of Liwonde National Park, close to where I was living, there was an upsurge in elephant raids on crops and houses in 1999. This was followed by an upsurge of human-hyena conflict, with 7 people being bitten or killed, Lubasheng writes in his report on the hyena incident last month. Calorific, yeah. Calorific's a fun word. Ooh. Depends on the situation with brown bears versus black bears. We have bears coming up on this series, though, so stick around. Subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we're going live, because every weekend, every Saturday, we're going to cover a new man-eater. Next week, let's see, I got them all lined up here. Let's go. Live. All right, so like what I got lined out right now is like next week. I believe next week's going to be the bull shark, right? Yeah. So next week we're doing bull sharks. It's the man-eater summer. Yeah, so leaning into the Shark Week stuff that's coming up. The study team only spent 5 days in the field, and it certainly was not an exhaustive study. Nevertheless, it found that 18 pigs and goats were killed by hyenas during the year, and 13 chickens were killed by jackals. The communities reported that a rise in hyena and jackal attacks were associated with a spike in elephant invasions. And this article goes on and on about this, but I'm going to go ahead and cut this off here because we are at the 3-hour mark, and I'm getting hungry. So that was Bree's Bestiary, our first installment with the Man-Eater series, and I probably will string these all together into a playlist at some point. So look forward to that. But are hyenas the most savage and vicious of the man-eaters? I mean, they talk about one grabbing you by a limb, by a leg or an arm, while the other one castrates and disembowels you. Sounds pretty fucking rough to me. So you don't want to mess with a hyena. You don't want to make enemies with a hyena. I'm just saying. Thank you for sticking around for Bree's Bestiary. Please remember to be kind. Take care, and we'll see you next time. All right. Thank you so much for sticking with me live from the Hive audience. Really appreciate you hanging out. And I am being driven absolutely crazy by this eye situation. I will survive, though. I'm just annoyed that I spent a lot of time on my makeup. My eyes aren't dripping anymore, which is great.
A family in God.
Yeah, but yeah, I appreciate everybody for sticking around, and I hope you all have a lovely remainder of your weekend. People going to the Ark Encounter, stay safe, drive safe. Don't do anything too chaotic that's going to make us all look bad. And yeah, once again, I will say it. Please remember to be kind, take care, and we will see you next time.
Oh, well, looky here. Another bird for me to tear to shreds. I love these stupid things. Well, let's go get him. You know, it's weird. I keep getting closer, but he's not getting any smaller. Must be an optical illusion. What the hell is that on his face? An axe? Well, no, I wasn't looking at you. I was looking over there. What is that, a squirrel? Yeah, over there. Oh, yeah. Yeah, buddy, I wasn't looking at you. Yeah. Go ahead there, eat up. Oh, yeah. No, don't worry. Oh, no, don't mind me. I'm sitting here just shitting on myself.
With all the noise, pseudoscience, and political rhetoric clogging the airwaves about transgender people, it can be difficult to understand what's really happening and what's really true. Good news, everyone! Welcome to The Transpositions, your compass in the rugged landscape of transgender issues. Here, we strive to be the beacon of authenticity, providing a platform that amplifies the voices and experiences of the transgender community. From breaking news to in-depth features to breaking down the real science, we are committed to fostering understanding, empathy, and empowerment for all individuals across the gender spectrum. Join us as we navigate the complexities, celebrate the triumphs, and advocate for the rights of transgender people worldwide. Together, we can redefine boundaries, challenge stereotypes, and champion inclusivity. Subscribe today. The link is in the description.